Yeah, yeah, first time. They bought me a new gavel, so. Flag salute.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance
Consider the flag of the United States of America. To the republic which stands one nation under God, liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this meeting has been properly advertised and posted in accordance with Public Law 75, Chapter 231, which is the Open Public Meetings Act or the Sunshine. Roll call.
Mayor Petty,
Here.
Clark,
Here.
Dash,
Here.
Dovey,
Here.
Galloway, Heist,
Here.
Hesse,
Here.
Keener,
Here.
Timbers,
Here.
Right.
Here.
Number 4 on our agenda is the mayor's presentations.
Okay.
Okay, so welcome everyone. Just gonna read. I actually did write something down. I'm not going off the top of my head. As a small city, we're limited with limited staff and resources, and Carver City depends heavily on volunteers. We have a volunteer fire department, volunteer coaches, boards, and organizations, all who freely give their time and talents to make our city a better place. Tonight, I wanted to present 2 exceptional volunteers, Gary Hess and Butch Kinsley, the key to the city for outstanding volunteerism, service, and commitment to Egg Harbor City. I would also like to thank their wives. One of them couldn't be here tonight, but thank you to their wives for allowing them to do what they do and supporting their efforts. So Butch and Gary, can you come over up here? I don't mind.
Yeah, come sit on this
Yeah,
side. so that
everybody
we-
Where we stand?
We can't see on the
In front of the
TV.
podium.
Yeah, can't see you.
We can't see on TV.
A little further.
Good. Butch is showing that. Gary and Butchie are lifelong residents who love Egg Harbor City and use their numerous skills to better the city. Not surprisingly, they are past recipients of the Citizen of the Year Award. They always pick up the phone when I call and never say no when they're asked to help, despite their busy personal and professional life. I really don't know what I would do without them. I mean that. I could be here all evening naming the many projects they have done both individually and together over the years. But for the sake of time, I will only name a few. Gary is an electrician by trade. He has worked on many streetlight projects to make sure all the streetlights in town are installed and working. He ensures that Egg Harbor City is a priority with the electric company during storms and electrical outages and for needed repairs. He also has taken the lead on numerous projects in the city, such as the demolition of the original tennis courts, additions to the Kaboom Playground that's on Buffalo Avenue. And he maintains and cares for the Crusaders Field and the playground year long. Gary is a member of many local organizations and serves on many boards. Butchie is a carpenter by trade. He rebuilt dugouts at P-Rec and repaired several stands, also at P-Rec. He engineered, laid out, and helped build the Kaboom Playground. He has been an official member of the fire department since he was 18, but was pretty much at the firehouse with his dad, helping out long before then. My husband said, as a child. I don't know that. Currently, as the fire chief, he supports and helps coordinate all the community events with his members, including the citywide cleanup, hanging events, banners on Philly Ave, Cedar Creek Championship parades, and Santa on fire truck at the Tree Lake. When I call, his standard answer is, "We'll get it done." Gary and Butchie are both humble guys who avoid seeking recognition. Which I was told.
He likes it.
But as mayor, I cannot allow that. Individuals like Gary and Butchie must be recognized for their contributions, and it is my privilege and honor to do so. Thank you both so much for your volunteers and service I do not know what the city would do without you guys. So without further ado. Cities presented to Gary Hess Senior.
One more again. Dylan?
All right. I don't know.
I've lived in the city all my life and I really got involved. Kind of through Key Rec, through Bush. He got me on the board at Key Rec with George Moroff. And George basically was our leader and I learned a lot at Key Rec through all the people that are on the board with us and George. And then I moved on to, when I retired, you know, to assisting with these streetlight projects and various projects throughout the city. I'm retired now, so I do have time. And I just feel that everybody, if you just take a little initiative to do something in the city, if everybody just did a little something, it makes a big difference in the city, no matter what it is, whether you volunteer at the food pantry, if you volunteer at Crusaders. There's so many places to volunteer, so many things to do. You do a road cleanup or a little cleanup in your own terrace or alley or whatever. There's so many things to do, but each and every one of us should try to do something. It would be a benefit to the city.
Gary and Butch, let us know what locks they open up.
I'm sure the log submitting your project.
Yeah. Okay, number 5 on the agenda, no stranger to Egg Harbor City, Dr. Ruffin has a presentation for us about a proposed redevelopment of the St. Nicholas School property. Chicago Avenue.
So if you want the people at home to be able to see it, can you log on to Zoom and then you could share your screen? That way the people at home can see it.
I don't have anyone watching.
No, I'm saying there's people on Zoom on it. So if you go on Zoom,
Okay, go on Zoom.
if you log into it, if you go to our website, you can. Well, then that's people at home can't see it.
Just go to our. What if you see us? My.
Or could he put it in front of the podium?
I was gonna say that part of it.
That's okay, you go. Yes. What's your-
No, I need.
It's just through the camera.
Well, then-
Can you move the camera like you did a minute ago?
Yeah. But not if I'm gonna show it here. But
There we go.
You're good?
Okay. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council President, members of the City Council, distinguished guests. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Dr. Larry Dale Ruffin. I am a nurse practitioner. I have a practice in Glenwood, and I am an associate professor at Stockton University and the chair of the Doctor of Nursing Practice program. I'm pleased to present to you the Paradise. And I have with me tonight my attorney, George Razor, and my engineer, Andy Shepard. So we have been working diligently to bring to you this project. We have been under contract for a little bit. We originally thought we would be doing something like some apartments. We came, we talked to the council, and we listened, and we changed our plans. We changed our plans multiple times, and now we come up with this assisted living facility. We believe this is going to be a great plan for the city. And this is a 104 units assisted living facility. So our goal is to, originally we were thinking about keeping the main building and add the two side buildings. However, when we talk to builders, they tell us and our engineer that it might be best to build a new building, but keep the face of the current building. With the face of the current building, with the steps and the front poles, at least, and with setbacks, we will have we will honor the community by really keeping something that is really dear to the community. So we have the different units with 104 units. The size are listed here. 58 units will be 396 square feet. 30 units will be at 448. 12 units will be 476. 3 units will be 490, and 1 unit will be 513. So now this information is based on the drawing our architect did, based on keeping the current building, because trying to fit those units in what was there. So that's how we come up with these numbers. And this is something that will create about 40 to 45 full-time jobs in the city. And we think this is really significant. So this is the side view. This is the back view. And this is what we have here. You can see in blue is the current building, and in yellow is the two addition to the current building. And of course, you see what parking will look like. So, okay, this is the third floor. This is a 3D version of that. The second floor, the first floor, okay, and this is the basement. So we will bring a number of amenities into the basement. For example, you can see we're going to have a pool, a swimming pool. We have the director's offices will be in the basement. We will have a gym, ping pong rooms. We have pool tables. The employee lounge will be there. There is a barber shop. We have loading areas, doctor's offices, the main kitchen. We plan to leave it where it is. And the main dining room is the area next to the kitchen, the way it is currently. We're going to have an everyday cafe right there by the kitchen. We have a security room, laundry. We have a chapel. We have a large conference room and a theater in the basement and a library. So this is going to be really a beautiful project. The swimming pool size, the size of the area where the pool will be is 1,120 square feet. The gym is 750 square feet. The theater is 980, and the conference room is 950 square feet. So in a nutshell, this is the project, and I want you to know that our goal is to really serve the community. And we've already decided that 10% of our revenue, okay, we 10% of our revenue will be there set aside to support community initiatives such as the youth, sport program, churches, synagogues, and other humanitarian programs in the city. So we believe that this is something that's going to really serve the community well. So we're here to answer any questions you have. My attorney is here and my engineer is here, and we should be able to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you give us a definition of what assisted living is? There's many different forms of assisted living. So can you give us a definition of what this form, or is it going to be multiple forms of assisted living within this unit?
Very good. So this assisted living is for any individual who requires some types of assistance. For example, let's say a single father or a widow can no longer take care of all the activities of daily living and wants a place to stay, like a beautiful place, a hotel style place where the laundry can be done, the food is prepared. This would be the place for it. Let's say someone start to forget. So actually, we're thinking about having a memory care in there as well. People who they start forgetting, they can't remember to take their medications, but they are functional. They are not ready for a home placement. That would be a place for them. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
And this is very different from a nursing home. This is not a nursing home.
And it's not a group home
It's
facility.
not a group home facility.
Okay.
And you anticipate there'll be seniors there, so like it's mainly seniors?
Yes, mainly seniors and also non-seniors who require some assistance. Yeah, and there are people who live in assisted living facilities who do not really require any nursing assistance. Where these people, some of them can still drive, they can take their medications, but actually one person I just admitted into an assisted living facility. He is 85 years old, never cooked. His wife always cooked, and his wife passed away. And the daughter lives out of state, cannot really take him out of state. So the assisted living facility comes very handy. So yes, his private room and the facility takes care of his laundry and his meals, and he still drives. Okay, and he can drive to go to the doctor's office, or doctors who come to the facility can see him. So he's vibrant in the community, but he doesn't have to worry about where his meals are coming from and who's going to clean his clothes.
So what you're saying is these people are free to come and go and function in the community or wherever. And when they're there, there's people there to watch over them to make sure that their needs are taken care of.
Exactly. Yes.
And one thing that you said when we talked to you the last time you showed us this, you were going to keep the main building the way it is, but you're saying you're just going to use the face of it?
Yes, we talked about that, and we wanted to do that. With the many builders we talked to, they told us that there are many unknowns. Although we know that our engineer went in there and checked the buildings, but at the end of the day, it's a 100 years old building. So we have to think about the next 100 years. So that's the type of communications we had with them, but we think probably even keeping the face and where they can really put some good walls behind the face might be something we can do.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's significantly different than other presentations you've given.
Yes,
My question would be, is this gonna be run by a for-profit business or or by a nonprofit?
it is for profit.
Okay,
Yeah, we are for profit.
okay, very good.
Yes.
What is the criteria to move from the one facility to move to a nursing facility? What would initiate them moving on?
Moving out, if the person cannot, if someone who is getting sick very frequently and requires a lot of nursing care, more than what we can offer there, would need to move to a nursing home. In the assisted living facility, we will not have nurses to be doing like wound care. Nurses to, although there will be a nursing director, that's a requirement by the state. And we will have some medical assistants, we will have a few nurses, but they will be supervising these patients more than providing nursing care. So that's the main difference. But someone who really needs a lot of nursing care, would need to go into a nursing home. That would be different from the assisted living facility.
Thank you.
Following up on her question, I think the last time we talked, you said there was different levels of care you could
Yes.
provide in here. right?
Yes,
So they could start out very functional
yes.
and get to a point where
Where
they're
they,
not.
exactly, yeah, if they get to a point where they are not functional, but still doesn't really require a lot of medical care. Okay, so they can stay there the same way they could stay in their homes if they have the means, they have the people to care for them. But when it gets to a point where they require a lot of nursing care, that wouldn't be the place for them.
I have another question about the exterior. You were
Yes,
talking, the last time you had said there would be a gazebo on the one side and you would have it fixed up a certain way on the side. I can't really see it.
so,
Do you have that?
so from here, right here. Okay, so this is what this is going to look like. So we have some green space.
Mhm.
Okay, there'll be like green space throughout. And you have the parking, we'll have plants. So this is what we think that's going to look like right now.
So there won't actually be outdoor area for them, like seating area or anything like that? For the people at the facility?
There will be. At this point in time, the green area is not clearly defined. So we're just trying to move this a little further down the road. And the next step will be the Pinelands Commission. And so there will be amenities involved in sitting areas, maybe some outdoor recreation, that sort of thing. But I don't want to confuse Pinelands Commission with some of that.
Thank you.
So the recreation that's there now, not recreation, but the green space that's there now behind the building. Do you anticipate that will be the same amount? Or is
Looks
that
like they're gonna take some of that.
take some of it? Okay.
All right, so the score on the impervious coverage, which is a big part of the Pinelands application, is that we're about 2,000 square feet short of what's impervious coverage there now. So we're pretty much filled up. As far as what the outdoor recreation will look like, we haven't defined yet. But there will be some minimum seating areas, maybe some outdoor games, that sort of thing. But at this point in time, that has not been formed, but is fully planned to be something. And I'm sorry that we're not offering the details of that at this point in time, but we just want to try and move on with the Pinelands Commission, which will not be looking at that sort of thing unless we, of course, we put, large pavilions and things of that nature out there.
And our understanding is this is a permitted use because of medical.
It would be under zoning a conditionally permitted use. We don't meet all the conditions, so honestly, we would need to seek a D variance from your land use board for not meeting all the conditions. Because we don't meet lot area and several other things regarding this. But this is one of the better uses that could ever be done on this site. Plunked in the middle of a residential neighborhood. So that's why we want to move forward with this, but it will require some cooperation from the land use board in terms, probably a D variance. And some other variance relief to do what is a permitted use, but conditionally permitted use, which means there are conditions we don't quite meet.
How would you rate traffic in there?
I'm glad you asked that. If you notice the parking areas we have, they comply with the residential site improvement standards, which does cover a assisted living facility. There's not much parking there because there's not much needed. So it does comply with all the parking required, which means as any kind of development you could propose on the site, whether it's apartments or single family houses, spread out, this will provide less off and on-site traffic coming in and out than any other application or proposal that has been brought for the site in the past.
What is the total of residents again? For the
104.
facility? 104 total
104 rooms, yes.
rooms, okay. And what are the parking spaces, just out of curiosity? 100?
We have
Oh, no.
52.
No.
52, I think.
52.
Which, believe it or not, the residential site improvement standards, the state governs this, believes is enough. For both-
0.5 per unit, right?
Well, it's that plus the staff, which is more than enough for that. Again, that seems a little light, but assisted living typically has a lot of residents that are drivers also, but it does have some, yes,
Visitors.
visitors and residents that still drive.
In terms of the employment, 40 to 45 jobs that this is going to generate, do you guys have an idea of a percentage of how much of those employees you would prefer to be a Carver City residents?
We have not decided that, but we will be an equal opportunity employee, and anyone can go ahead and apply when the time comes.
Okay.
But we really would like people from the city to get involved, to apply for our jobs.
And then they won't need a parking place, they could just walk.
They won't try to work.
You gotta go to work stuff.
Would you be willing to have like a local job fair? Like you could have a job.
Certainly, which we can, yes, we can do that.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions? Anybody from the audience? Any questions for?
Is this gonna encompass all of the property from Camp to Claudius?
Yes.
Takes that whole area?
Yes.
Actually, is there any age restriction? No age?
No age restriction. The only things that you have to you have to require a assistance
By a doctor.
by them.
Anybody else from the audience? Step.
They gonna be, have kitchenettes in them, or they won't be able to cook in their room?
No, they cannot cook in their rooms. There will be there will be a little kitchenette with a little they can have a little fridge, a little sink, cabinets, but no stove. I believe they can have a little microwave, but no stoves. Yeah.
So your intentions are never to make it to become like an efficiency apartment?
Oh, no.
Is there a possibility that some of them could be two people in a room? Like a husband, wife?
Yes, there are possibilities, yes.
He already figured out that.
I mean, you see advertised on TV, these different places where these couples go and they live and they have their dinners. Like Moravia House, isn't that one of them where it's an assisted living? And they go and they live there because they have some type of a need, but they can still travel, they can still do their thing, and then they come back there. So it's on the same preference as that.
Yes.
And I personally think it's a wonderful idea, and I think it would be a benefit to the community.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Go,
I'm
Karen.
trying to place this in my head. If you're looking at St. Louis, the church is still there and that big grass field is still there and the building is behind that. correct?
Right where St. School is.
Yeah.
So that grass area is still there.
Yes, next is the church.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
Chicago.
That's right.
Getting frustrated.
Chicago.
Chicago. This-
Yeah,
it
it's
would-
Chicago and Ninth Terrace.
The school.
I just have a question for Councilman Wright. You live across the street like I
I
do.
mean, listen, I think it's a beautiful building. I think it just, to me, it just does not fit that community. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I build group homes, okay, up and down pretty much Jersey. I mean, we do property management group homes, which is almost similar to what this is, a little bit a higher level. When we go in and build these houses, we make the group homes fit in that community, where it be like using like older siding, something to blend that neighborhood together. So it doesn't look like somebody just took a modern home and plopped it into a resident area. I mean, I think it's a beautiful building. I think it's a good idea. I just don't think it fits, to be honest with you.
But one of the things you said, you were gonna keep the same.
Yeah, but that's the one front door and the steps. I mean,
No, to match, they said to match the rest of the building. To that, right? Or you changed that?
No, that is correct. So the front facade with the columns and the
Mhm.
window would be kept.
right, but all the way around the building.
All the way around the building would be kept in the same character as what's there now. And one of the things this site,
Cause that picture that you guys had up there looked like modern siding and it didn't look anything.
Actually, the last time we met, I think one.
That looked like Hardy back.
I don't want to see a big brick building standing there all the time, so we talked to our engineer, to our architect. And the architect came up with this,
Mhm.
but I mean, we are still flexible. But that specific comment about a big brick building standing there, that's why.
No, I understand that, but I mean, my thing is more character to the building to fit the neighborhood.
okay.
For like, if you're like we do a lot of building in like historic areas where you gotta, when you go in there and build, you gotta bring that house back to basically look exactly how it was prior to what it was.
Completely agree with that. And in this case, we have the elephant in the room
Mhm.
being the existing building that's there.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So we can renovate the building, which is probably not the best idea for
Mhm.
and enlarge it for making this project work, but replacing it is.
Mhm.
But the elephant in the room is still that we have this huge building
Mhm.
that has to come
Right,
down
right.
or be renovated,
Mhm.
which adds a huge cost to the
Mhm.
whole process.
Right.
And so it's either this
Mhm.
or
And
basically.
the other thing is, I mean, that parking lot right there is like right in front of my house,
Which one? Which one?
the right side,
How many feet is
other
that?
side.
How many feet is the green area there?
Okay.
I couldn't tell you without, getting some your scale. So, but it's significant. So the impervious coverage proposed is a little bit less than that's there now. Not a lot, but a little. But the elephant in the room, like I said before, the building is there, and that produces a cost that is huge. And whether you tear it down or you renovate, either way, it's a burden to begin with, and it's there to begin with. What do we do? And we looked at the alternatives of putting single family houses in here. We looked at the alternatives of putting single family houses, saving the building, turning into apartments. Either way, Mr. Ruffin wasn't going to be able to afford to do it without losing a lot of money. It's just the nature of the beast that we're dealing with, that it takes a lot, 104 units, in order to make this thing turn a profit for him, make a viable project in the community that adds to everybody's benefit. And again, it's a project that doesn't generate traffic and activity such as an apartment building or even single-family houses would have. It's much less. So it's morphed into this through the process of coming back to the city over and over again with different processes. And this is the one I believe, as a professional planner and engineer, will actually work for everybody involved.
If I could just say, first of all, I appreciate all your hard work with this. We have been following this project from the original. And the St. Nicholas School has been empty for many, many years. It's right in my neighborhood. I live on the same street. And I appreciate the fact that you're willing to do something to renovate that building and make it viable again. I'm happy that you're using the facade. I would have been happier if you could have used more of it, but I totally understand that it's may not be cost effective. So again, I'm in favor of it. I appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
So, this is Tracy. Can I ask
Questions?
a question?
Comments?
Just thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think our next step is probably let this sink in a little bit, and then maybe revisit it. Maybe at our next meeting.
Well, he has to, what is it, March, you have to make settlement? Forget what did you say?
Yes, we have to move on with settlement. But we want to be clear where we stand
Okay.
with that.
Well, we could kind of poll the council here, take a vote on whether you like the idea or not like the idea to move forward.
You want a resolution?
Yeah, off the resolution.
Yeah, make a resolution that we support this project.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded that we support Dr. Ruffin and his group on this project. Roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Joby,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Keener,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Right.
Undecided.
Okay, so all motion passes. All, almost all in favor. Thank you.
Can I make one suggestion? This would be for Mr. Wright. I noticed on your side you have a row of trees. Think you could go
Yes.
big enough trees to cover this whole side, so when he looks out his door, he's not looking at the building, he's gonna look at the trees.
Certainly we can. We have not gone to the point of applying for a site plan approval, so. all that stuff-
That's why I'm undecided. I mean, until I can see a full site plan of what's going on.
Well, this will involve going back to the.
I know.
to the
That's the stepping
Commission,
stones. I know.
to the City.
Flowering trees, Mason, go for all of it. You want
Yeah.
flowering trees.
No, I don't. As long as those trees from St. Nick's go, because I have no trees in my house and I gotta clean those leaves up, they can go. I'll be more than happy.
Plenty of trees.
Question for.
Trees that don't shed.
Question for our attorney. We do everything proper there?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Resolution.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for the presentation and,
Thank you.
and your interest in this.
Thank you.
project.
Basically, the way it was turned, this parking lot is my house, my inheritance right here. That other parking lot, Keener's house, here. In the back and the out,
Facing. Like Joseph.
where the basketball courts and stuff. That's that greenery that was there. That became the basketball. So basically, like, if this was the, you say this is St. Nick's.
Okay, number 6 on our agenda is
My house.
approve the minutes of January 2nd and the minutes of January 9th.
What are we already, the minutes from January 2nd at last meeting?
I thought we did.
I thought we did too.
Did we do that? Did we,
I didn't.
did we approve the minutes of the reorg? Yeah, you have it on here, but. she's-
I didn't have it.
They weren't ready.
Okay,
Oh, okay. I thought you did.
all right, so this would be.
Then wanted to ask a question. Because of the presentation.
Public comments.
About the what?
In public comment.
Public comments coming up for agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, we can say that. Okay, this is for both January 2nd and January 9th. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Number 7, public comment on any of our agenda items. So this is where somebody can make a comment.
Anybody
Question. Was there another question about the presentation? Somebody had? Who?
Tracy online had a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had a question. It's kind of wild and crazy, a little outside the box, but and maybe it's way too late to even consider this, but would it be possible to make the footprint of the building smaller and build up a 4th floor to help maybe meet the Pinelands restrictions on the green area and maybe make things look a little different? Just a wild and crazy idea.
Well, the way I would answer that is this is going to the land use board next. So that could be a comment that could be made at that meeting and a suggestion.
Yeah,
So,
I'll reach out to our engineer to convey that as a possibility, but
right.
that would probably require additional relief for height in excess of what the ordinance allows, but
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be any higher than what's there.
not with what they just proposed, but if
No.
they were to add, if they were to shrink the footprint and add a 4th floor, then it would grow another 15 feet or something.
Yeah, I don't know how that would be. That would be a big building,
Yeah.
like a Rittenberg right in front of your house. Yeah. I think
Would they
that's
be
too
going
big.
to the meeting on the 18th of February? It won't be ready for that, okay.
Thanks.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, number 8 on our agenda is mayor's report.
I really don't have anything since we've had so many meetings, but Brian will talk about the one thing that I was gonna bring up about electric charging, so I'll just defer to Ryan.
Good job. Okay. Thank you. Let's just go right down the list. For safety committee, Councilwoman Hess.
Yeah, we had a safety committee meeting this past week. And John D'Agostino, our risk manager, discussed the need to update appraisals, values for the city's buildings, and the importance of risk management preventative measures. He also addressed ongoing issues, the need for regular physical assessments for the police force, and the importance of proper protocols for addressing building fires and managing liability for public facilities. Lastly, he discussed the possibility of online training modules for lifeguards and the need for ethics training. And that's all I have. Safety committee meetings will be as needed.
Okay, our next committee report would be from Councilman Dovey for Public Works.
Tomorrow is the deadline for applications for the Public Works Superintendent position full-time. We're going to have a Public Works Committee meeting on Monday to review those applications and also other Public Works items. Jerry Barbario, our part-time temporary Public Works Supervisor, is here, and he can ask him if he could just give a quick overview of activities at the Public Works Department.
Thank you, Councilman Dovey. So as everyone knows, it snows every 3 to 5 days, and that's annoying, but that's life. But we're dealing with it as best we can. The cold temperatures are definitely a challenge, but we also dealt with that as best we could during this holiday weekend. It looks like we're getting a break, and it looks like we're getting maybe in the 40s, which is balmy and warm. And so I'm hoping that we can move into some other things that I wanted to do at Public Works, which was do some basic chainsaw safety class, things of that nature, and maybe take down a couple of smaller trees that I know are on the list. So those are the things that we're looking to do. Other than that, it's just business as usual.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions for Public Works? Thank you, Mr. Dovey. Code Enforcement, Councilwoman Hesse.
Code enforcement, the meeting took place yesterday. We gathered with the code enforcement department. And with that, we went over rental inspections, proactive trash initiatives, and a White Horse Pike initiative the committee would like to work on later this year. We explained our concerns and solutions, listened to theirs, and found common grounds on most issues. Our next meeting will be Friday, February 4th, 6:30 via Zoom only. Thank you.
Thank you. Next committee would be Property, Councilwoman Galloway. Okay. Parks and Playgrounds.
Couple things. We met with, on Zoom, the committee met with, Dave from the campground and, went over a couple things. He had a couple concerns. One being the pavilion. I guess, he never got the memo that the ticket prices were raised and something happened where he felt like he got screwed up with some prices. So he's asking that we can do basically, he actually just texted me yesterday, if we can come up with an answer, and that's up to the committee what you guys want to do, but if we can do 50%, basically, which is the $5 tickets rather than the $10 ticket. For the badges.
For when he rents.
For when he
Yes, yeah,
For the guests that. come
yes,
to
the
it.
50, up to 50, a maximum of 50. Will be
I
at,
thought he said 10.
no, that's what it was. He wants 50%. I mean, he wants to see if we can cut it in half 50%. Which is $5.
Oh, I got it.
And
Yeah.
he will provide the wristbands.
Right, up to 50, because we had
Up to
issue,
50,
we had an
yes.
issue last year. We got scammed.
Yes,
It was actually
Yes.
cheaper for this person. to
basically, he
rent.
rented the pavilion and he even used the pavilion, just got the discounted late raises and just went right to the beach.
Yeah.
So he was asking, I mean, that's something up to the committee, that's completely up to you. I mean, if you guys want to wait until the next Parks and Playground meeting, that's completely up to you guys, or we can make a decision tonight and I can send them a text. But
I mean, I can weigh in. I feel that that's reasonable.
that's what I mean, that's how I feel, but that's up to, whatever you guys want to do. Or you guys can wait, sit on it, whatever you guys want to do.
Is there a recommendation?
Move it.
Move it?
Move it.
No. Yeah, I'll make a recommendation that we go basically for when he rents the pavilion out, basically the lace baggers will be $5 up to 50, maximum of 50.
Leaving the cost of the pavilion the same as.
Yes, that was it, 250, I think it says
250,
250, yes.
So that's a motion.
Yes,
Okay, is there a second?
yeah,
Does that have to be put into a form of an ordinance or revise the ordinance?
I don't know.
We have an ordinance and the badges always allowed for a differentiation in price, a range in prices. At least it used to, because years ago, the Crusaders would come for
Mhm.
$1,
right.
churches could come for $1.
So we
So
don't need
there's a
to-
range of prices, but I guess Jody probably could
I
answer that
think-
better.
Be a resolution. I think we updated prices by resolution. We had
Yes.
the ordinance, but
Yeah.
we made it so we didn't have to update the ordinance every time.
Right,
And,
But-
and just so you know, him offering those discounted tickets, the money goes directly to us.
yeah,
for
it
the
comes to us,
badges.
it's not like it's
And-
going to him.
And he sells more pavilion rentals and we do get 15% of that, I
So
believe.
we're talking about the big pavilion.
The big
not
one.
the
Big one.
Yeah,
So if he rents that out and
We
he
get-
has 50 guests.
We
Mhm.
get all that.
Wristbands
we
are-
get
be
that-
$5, would be
Yeah.
$5 for his
or
guests,
typically 10.
typically
So
10.
he wants them.
Yeah, he feels it's gonna add more, I guess,
That's the question.
get more looks at that pavilion, more draws. But he wants to get it up on the website, I guess, soon as possible, so he can advertise it, or whatever the case may be.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
No, hold
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, if that's the recommendation from the committee, I can draft the
For
resolution
the next meeting.
for the next meeting that can be voted on by council, if you wanna do it that way.
Oh, that doesn't, whatever's the right way, just so I can let them know that, I know he wants to get the ball moving so he can get it
Did
advertised.
he get it up on his website prior to that?
I
The
mean,
next meeting is
No.
February what?
13.
15.
I think you can-
13.
I think councilman can, let let them know that it's gonna be the recommendation, of Parks Committee, that we'll be taking action next meeting.
Okay, that's awesome.
I just wanna make sure the resolution clearly encompasses everything that
council and committee wanna, wanna
Right, if
include it.
Dave
I don't
has
have
any
to come back a
complaints,
couple different
give him
times.
his number.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's the recommendation, but we're not gonna take action on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather do it the right way that way and don't come back to kick.
Okay.
You said we can't vote.
I
we-
can't
we-
vote.
so-
Can't
so-
vote.
so-
You can vote, but I think it would be easier and cleaner if I just had the resolution for everybody to vote on next time. I hear the recommendation from the committee. And we'll turn it into a quick resolution so everybody can make sure that.
Okay.
And we'll put that on the agenda next.
Yeah, all right, that works.
All right.
One other thing, Councilman, Nanette brought up about, the Peace Pilgrim, bridge. And I mean, she showed us pictures at the Parks and Playgrounds. I mean, it's in bad shape as far as landscaping wise, but she had reached out to the county already and put a word in there, so hopefully she'll get contact with somebody and somebody will contact her back to see exactly what we can do to, dress that up a little bit.
Which bridge you talking?
This one right here.
There's two bridges in the park, one where the creek comes in,
Mhm.
one where the creek comes into the park, and there's another bridge where it leaves the park, those two. I would like to see those two hardscapes so that
Mhm.
we'll let broken concrete come out of there. And it would be a lot safer and it would beautify the park, of course.
But since it's a bridge, I'm figuring that's has to do with the county and the
Yeah.
county will have.
Camp, was it Claudia Street and.
London.
So Nanette, if you want to write up what your concerns are and just send it to me in an email, I'll call the county. And
I-
try-
He already reached out to.
I talked to Jerry Del Rosso this
Oh,
morning.
okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes if the mayor calls, it might be a little.
He was amicable. The county is also changing the open space tax program, and they are now including maintenance. However, I was told that it's only for county parks. So I said, well, we would like to work with the county to get this done. It's unsightly and it's unsafe, especially if, kids should go up there. It's worse in the winter time because you can see all the broken concrete and everything. So he said that he would send the Public Works crew out there to look at it and report back to him. And we'll see where we can go from that. But I was encouraged by the conversation and, we might have to apply for a grant somewhere to help fund it, but we'll do what we have to do.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Next on the list here is license ordinance. Any activity on that? Carl?
Well, we had a brief meeting, with Nanette, and Jerry, we were discussing, changes to, our ordinance as far, our code as far as, tree removal and replacement. We're also, discussing the possibility of doing an ordinance for snow removal. At this point, we have, a draft for, the tree removal and replacement, but we will be working with our municipal attorney on both ordinances. We might be able to present something at the next meeting.
Well, the tree ordinance is on the agenda.
It's on.
Carl, did you get my recommendations that I emailed to you?
I did, I haven't had. an
Okay.
opportunity to-
I would like those considered.
For the tree?
No, for some other things. Many other things.
Well, then, there's going to be a meeting on Monday.
While we're with,
Another meeting.
while we're with you, is there any report from the land use board?
All we had was a reorg, so there's nothing to report on that.
Okay. Councilwoman Clark, you have any school board? report?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Okay. Anything with Aaron Hoppin?
There was no meeting, so, hopefully after the next meeting, there'll be something to report.
Okay. And we did something different this year. We have a lake committee, which is separate from the Parks and Playgrounds Committee. Is there anything to report on that?
Nothing to report.
Okay.
Well, I can
Lake
report
is
a little bit
pros.
on it.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of revising the aquatic facility plan. And we are going to have a meeting soon at City Hall to discuss path forward. The badges will be, believe it or not, it's right around the corner.
And we did reach out to past employees to see if they want to return, so.
Yes. Yeah, the email's been sent to the past employees to see if they want to return, so we know where we are at hiring, because that's got to start in the next month. We have to know, so.
Okay, thank you. And Meg, I did see some activity with the JIF a representative? Something with John recently where, was there a meeting or was he just here gathering information?
He was here gathering, but we do have a meeting in February, just with the department heads.
Okay.
We go over different.
Okay, good. And on finance, there's been a lot of activity. And I talked about it at the last meeting that we've had, a formal meeting of the committee, but there's been also other meetings that have popped up because of different things happening. So I guess the biggest thing right now is we're trying to organize a meeting of the property owners along the 1 and 200 blocks of Philadelphia Avenue. And hopefully we have that sooner than later to talk about the future of those 2 blocks and what can be done there. And I would welcome the redevelopment EDC to be part of that if you so choose. And we'd love to have you there and talk together about it. And I'll be reaching out to different people to try to organize that meeting. Tentatively right now, it looks like it might have to be either mid-February or mid-March. I don't want to do it mid-March if we don't have to, but the sooner the better. And hopefully we can get that together. And that's all I have for that. The next thing on our agenda is Chief of Police. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sustainable.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Property, your property and sustainable.
Sustainable Jersey, yes. The tree ordinance that we've been talking about for the past year or so is on the agenda tonight for introduction. The Green Team will have a meeting next Tuesday at 6 p.m. here at City Hall and on Zoom. It's January 28th, and we'll be talking about how this ordinance came to be. So if anybody's interested in learning more about the ordinance before the public hearing in a couple of weeks, they should attend that meeting. If anybody has anything here for the newsletter, please get it to me ASAP. I don't have much time to get it done this week coming up. So, and then the other thing that I wanted to mention was that Davie Resource Group completed the tree inventory, and they inspected 3,206 trees in the city proper and on New York Avenue leading into Cedar Creek High School. And we also included the trees that line the beach at the lake. They found 65 moderate risk trees and 2 high risk trees and 1,000 vacant planting sites where we can add new trees. We're waiting to hear if we can use grant funds to immediately remove those high risk trees. And if we're allowed to do so, we'll take them down right away. And also, they will be providing us with something called Tree Keeper, a software program that will be used by the Code Enforcement Department and the arborist. And anybody else who's interested in learning about it will be setting up a training session at a convenient time for everybody. That should take a couple of weeks to complete, and that's it. So, and then the other one thing that we did with the assistance of the Margaret Green Team was to create some flyers for the plastic pollution ordinance that we passed last year. And we'll be putting them in the Code Enforcement Department for to be included in the package that is picked up for building permits. So we're getting those printed up and through Cody. They do an excellent job. If anybody needs printing done, definitely see Cody, and it's very, very inexpensive. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Rotary?
I just have one thing. The last meeting, the Privateer Scholarship was presented. And it was held at Crossroads. It went to Drew Grosh of Cedar Creek High School. The scholarship is in memory of Joe Privateer. I don't know if anyone's familiar with him, but he used to live here in Egg Harbor City. He was a Rotarian and an Egg Harbor City businessman. And he also lived in Egg Harbor City. I just wanted to let everybody know. And the next meeting will be next Tuesday, 1/28 at 5:30, Mill Street Pub. Oh, go ahead.
And I just want to give Councilman Dash, you have anything to add to the reports? Any-
No.
How about you, Councilwoman Ice?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Chief, report?
She's on Zoom.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, great. So in the last 2 weeks, we have had 2 fraud cases, 2 reports of sexual assaults, 4 thefts, 5 motor vehicle accidents, 24 traffic stops, 19 summonses issued. We've had 2 arrests. Other incidents, 4 business alarms, 1 residential alarm, 52 crime prevention activities, 3 domestics, 15 EMS incidents, 9 firearms ID applications, 1 follow-up, 136 property checks, 12 public service calls. In terms of things that we've done over the last few weeks, we've tried to avoid the snow and ice. On the 15th, we had a community cares event in Licking Park. The Piccadilly provides hot meals. Church by the Bay comes into town and sets up racks of clothing. Quite a few folks came and got clothing for the colder weather that's coming. New Jersey Courts is also there when we do these events to help out with expungements or other court-related issues. We did have a student travel plan audit. Mayor Giampetti and Ryan McGowan were there at the community school where we did an assessment of areas in town to improve walking areas for students and pedestrians in general. The mayor and Ryan can add anything to that if they need to. Municipal Alliance meeting was also held that I attended where we talked about preventive measures that we can use funding for at the schools and throughout the community. Attended a county chiefs meeting and yesterday I watched the E-Fleet webinar. I did do that, Councilwoman Galloway. It was quite lengthy and very science heavy. But that's all we've had over the last few weeks. Like I said, we've been trying to avoid snow and ice and trying to help people stay safe in these cold conditions.
Ryan, are you gonna talk about the travel plan, or you want me to mention? The travel plan is something that we asked the school to do. It gives us a really good position on getting grants for safe streets to school and also sidewalk improvements. As you are aware, if you live on Liverpool Avenue, we can't cover all the sidewalks with the grants that we have the grants we get for the roads right now. So this will help any roads that aren't done on the next road. Hopefully, the next few roads will be able to apply for grants to finish all the sidewalks. So it gives us what, like 25 points on the application if we have a travel plan?
Yeah, they rate applications on a 100-point scale and you get 25 points if you have a current school travel plan. So the general advice from DOT has been, if you don't have a school travel plan, probably don't submit an application because you're not going to score road. So yeah, it helps. It's a couple $100,000 grants that they give out, you know, $300,000 to $400,000 range was the last one we got, but that was almost 10 years ago. So yeah, having an updated school travel plan will definitely help get some more money and be able to do sidewalks, crosswalks, some other things to help increase help enhance pedestrian safety.
So those of you on Buffalo Avenue,
The 400 and 500 blocks.
400 and 500 blocks, don't stress. We're looking out for you.
Any questions for the chief? None? Okay, CFO, good.
No.
No. City clerk?
Nothing.
Nothing. I want to thank our engineer for providing us with a engineer's written report, status report. So, Brian?
Sure, no problem. I'll go through it. So the Archway Green project, we bid and awarded it. We actually had a pre-construction meeting earlier that morning. The discussion sort of centered around making sure it was done before the food truck festival in August. The only concerns they had were landscaping. Other than that, everything should be well done well before then. So that will probably break ground within the next month or so. Liverpool Avenue, the 100, 300 blocks, all that work is complete. We're just trying to get project close out and get final reimbursement from DOT. We've actually been successful. I think we've closed out 3 or 4 open projects
in the state's online system, which is very difficult to navigate, but I think we're finally making progress there. As the mayor alluded to earlier, the Buffalo Avenue, the 400 and 500 blocks, we've been working on the design. We've been done for a little bit. We finally were able to review the sidewalk limits. And we'll be sending that in for the PSD submission, which is the last step before you're authorized to go out to bid. Also, as the mayor mentioned, we're not going to do all of the sidewalks. We're going to do the tripping hazards, the sections where it's missing, the places that are issues, but the entire length of Buffalo Avenue from US Route 30 to the Sprague School was identified as a high priority travel route on the last travel plan. So we anticipate that it will be the same this time. So that will be one of the primary corridors that we can apply for sidewalk replacement money and crosswalk enhancements and all of that. So rather than dedicate, money we didn't get to cover the whole project in the 400 and 500 blocks to those improvements, we're going to do what we have to now, and then we'll circle back with an application once we have the school travel plans. For the lake and campground ADA improvements, again, the city has $400,000 to improvements there. The application was submitted to the Pinelands Commission. We're really just waiting to see how they view the approach that we took. Hopefully,
Excuse me 1 second. Can everybody hear him?
Yeah.
Okay, in the back? Okay.
Okay.
Say no. You good?
One now. So the application was through the Lions Commission. We're just waiting for their interpretation. We also made application to Legacy Electric for the new service for the 50 amp services for campsites. There's like 42 or 43 sites that all have 30 amp services now. We're looking to do about a dozen, maybe 10, 50 amp services to some of those sites. And that will actually make the other 30 amp services work better. And then, we'll have a higher amperage service that we can provide.
Ryan, not to cut you off, but do you know, have any idea when that might be happening? Because that was another question I meant to Rob Grubb.
I don't.
He had
it's-
asked about.
Some of it's gonna depend on the feedback from Legacy Electric.
Okay.
There's a current transformer, we need another one. I know you're allowed to add another transformer to the pole, you can do it to 3 technically. But a lot of times when you approach the demand that we're gonna be at, they want you to go to a ground, a pad mount transformer on the ground. So the cost share, the design, all of that sort of revolves around the feedback we're gonna get from Legacy Electric.
So Brian, you have the electric guy right back there. Yeah. Gar, what? Doesn't look good. What?
I know transfer money is gonna be astronomical.
They're
You gotta go
very
over and
expensive.
let them put an upgraded pocket from the pole.
Well, that's what
all
we
they should be
do.
doing is upgrading. They got a 37, put a 50, put a 100, put a 167. They can put plenty there for 50 amp service.
So it's 10 50 amp services. There's a 400 kVA transformer now, I believe it is. So our request will be to add another one on the other side of the pole. And that would be the cheapest option we thought.
And they would have a 400 kVA pot there on the pole.
So it's,
It was the biggest they put was a 167.
so I'm not an electrical engineer. I was just trying to relay, but whatever the transformer is, it was sufficient for a 400 amp service. So that's the current pole mount transformer. Our idea is to add another identical one on the other side of the pole. Our understanding is that that would be allowed. So we're trying to avoid the ground mount transformer, but you know how it goes. So, yes, I'll
It'll
definitely.
be a high cost incurred if they go with the pat mount.
I have no doubt, yeah, and then we'd have to run underground from there, so, yeah, no, that's kind of what I was saying, it's really that really dictates how long the project's gonna take and the direction that we go. But yeah, I'll be reaching out, don't worry. The next is the next ADA improvement grant that we got, it's for City Hall, we're working on the design now. We'll be replacing the desk that you're all leaning on right now, and the trim piece along the top there, adding an ADA ramp on the side for access to the dais, upgrading the bathrooms, upgrading all of the service counters, because none of them are at the ADA height or width. So we're working on the design of that now. We're hoping to be able to bid that in the spring. It'll be a couple months to get through design and all of that.
Ryan, you were
Yes.
just talking about this room here.
Yes.
Is there any chance that we could turn this counter sideways? Because everything's crammed right in here. Is there any way, or would that be way too?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean, like move the whole dais
This
somewhere?
whole dais that way. Is
So-
there any way it would give us it would give us.
I mean, you can do
more-
anything, but
I know,
I don't know if the
the
grant
fact
would
it
cover
brings
that,
us.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the grant purpose was to upgrade what you have just to make it ADA compliant. So we have to modify the desktop that you have to provide access, because there's not a clear space between approximately where the mayor's elbow is and the wall. So once we have to modify it, we can replace that whole thing and justify that under the grant. I don't know that we can relocate the whole thing. Because
Just.
well, yeah, but it's, I don't know,
Give
we'll
them more
talk
room
through with the
back
funding
there.
source and see what they would, what they would fund. But what I don't want to do is proceed with something that is later determined as not eligible, and then you guys are on the hook for whatever the cost is. We certainly won't let that happen.
You're gonna try to extend it a little bit on each side, just make a divot, right? Didn't we talk about?
Yeah,
that?
you sort of have to clip the corner, like
Mhm.
about a foot or so of the corner where it sticks out, the
Yeah.
desk you're leaning on. That needs to go.
But it could be a little longer on both sides, right?
Yeah, we can extend it in one way and trim it again. But,
So you're gonna lose it here and gain it there.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You need so much clear space between the wall and the rail there. Yeah, and the railings are not ADA compliant. There's lots of issues. But yeah, so that's what that project addresses. Next, Atlantic Avenue pedestrian improvements phase 3 and 4. We're still trying to get through permitting. Unfortunately, the project has taken us right through wetlands buffers, which always complicates our permitting efforts. So actually, numbers 23 and 24 on the agenda are to request extensions for the grants. So that we can continue to work through the process and try to get them out to bid. New Orleans Avenue subdivision, we finally got a phone call from the Finance Commission that advised that we will get our final approval for that project in March. So once that happens, we'll be able to file the subdivision, set the property corners, and then the city can proceed as you wish. I believe you'd have to auction them if you wanted to, so.
Yeah.
The IBank Stormwater Project, our survey crews are out there, 1 or 2 crews every day. We started on the sort of the northwest side of the city, we're working our way down. Again, just to refresh everybody, you guys are getting what is effectively a $3 million grant. We expect to be able to do $2.5 to $2.6 million worth of physical construction. And then the grant actually covers design and inspection costs as well. So it's a zero cost project to get a whole lot of solar infrastructure. Last couple of things are on page 2, key rec improvements. We prepared the base plan. I think we shared that a meeting or so ago. So now we have to put in a request to the Finance Commission for a pre-application meeting to review the issues that they're going to have. Tennis court, pickleball court, we didn't do the design or anything like that, but I've been sort of assisting that along. The contractor is talking about paving, I think next week, when it goes to the 40s, doing the grading and the base paving, and then they'll come back probably in March or so to do final paving, and then stripe it or paint it, all that stuff. Brownfield redevelopment areas, the only update at this point is that we're still waiting for a formal notice from DEP. We can't really do anything until we have that. But once that happens, there'll be lots of investigative work. But we'll be putting proposals in front of the city, and then they will be funded through that project program. And then 2 more things that are not on here. One is an agenda item, the release of the performance bond for the Wawa project. The performance bond just covers the installation of improvements. It's there in case the developer goes under and never makes those improvements. So the city has sufficient funds to cover and build the sidewalks and do the landscape, perimeter landscaping, things like that. All that work is done. There's some dead trees, there's some other issues that need to be addressed, but those are all what would be considered maintenance bond issues. So our recommendation is to release the performance bond contingent upon receipt of a maintenance bond for $9,814.95, which is 15% of the original performance bond, which is what is allowable by state law. And then the last thing is something that came in today. Meg received information from the county that said that they had received up to $1 million grant to install EV chargers, and that there were certain criteria that needed to be met. And that one of the locations that they selected was the city's transit hub. So that was a location that we were looking to fund or find funding for chargers anyway. If they do it, they'll use their funding. You'll have an interlocal agreement for them to maintain them. So, and then you could take some of your funding and shift it to one of the other desirable locations. So I think it's a win-win. We don't have a ton of information at the moment. Some details to be sorted out, but I do think it would be helpful for council to express an interest in accepting that funding and participating with the county, if you so choose.
I have a question.
Mhm.
The EV charging grant that we got, 128,000, was for public EV charging stations.
Mhm.
We're also considering, and the chief attended the webinar yesterday regarding purchasing EVs for the police department.
Mhm.
So we're going to need some a level 2 charging station here at City Hall.
Correct.
Could they work that into their grant?
So their grant had very specific requirements. One of them was to be near public transportation. So the transit hub lot fit their criteria like, perfect, essentially.
They mentioned Absecon.
Yeah. Right, they had
Okay, along the
identified
trail,
three
the train
potential
station line.
locations. Sort of along the railroad tracks.
Okay,
So, but again, then you have the opportunity to reallocate to utilize that funding. Public EV chargers at the municipal building would certainly be eligible for the funding that the city has. So while they may not be in the back lot, in the police lot, they could be on the public facing side of this.
well, do we want to give up spaces here for EV charging that, because, there.
That's
that
what I
would-
thought we were originally, that's what I originally, when the guy came to quote, I showed him the spots where they had the front there. Like by the door, so that way code enforcement would be, because that was our original intent, was really to get.
Put 'em for code enforcement.
Yeah, so that's where he had looked at to either install it.
Right.
Yeah, but there's nothing
It's
preventing,
not like really. It's not like taking up the spot per se.
well, yeah, I mean, someone could still park there, it's contract.
And are they going to do the installations and all that, or are they just providing funds?
No, they were gonna do everything. They were gonna orchestrate the entire design, construction, everything. And then in a local agreement where they would maintain it just on the city's property.
And will it be on the train station side or on the Gordon
So
Dolphin?
they-
side?
want it in that lot.
Yeah,
I
so
think it's
they,
exactly where we were planning on putting it, right?
they sent 3 potential options. 2 of them were in the municipal parking lot. Another was on the Atlantic Avenue stalls. That won't work because that's New Jersey Transit's property. Right away. So it would be in the parking lot, in that first row, as close to the train station as you get in the city's park.
And do you know the source of their funding?
I just
Should be
read
a
through the
million,
email.
Better.
Well, it was up to $1 million. Let's see. Oh, there's a long email. It's through FHWHA. I think they put that backwards. It's supposed to be FHWA, Federal Highway Administration. Yeah, so they apparently the state received a $10 million federal highway grant. Atlantic County was an early supporter. They're one of the first 5 counties to support it. So, essentially, they were one of the first ones in line to receive the grant once the state got it.
All right, cool.
So I can forward some additional information. Like I said, this came in like a couple hours ago.
I would think for the police department, if we get EVs back there, you wouldn't need a charging station. You could just have a plug-in.
Well.
Back there.
Yeah, you need
Well,
pretty high
Keith.
power.
You need high power, but I'm saying you don't
He's
need
gonna
a
want a level 2, I'm
credit
sure.
card
Yeah,
station where people would have to buy it.
Yeah, it's a different thing. I mean, to be
Right.
frank, I have an EV and I installed a 60 amp charger. at the
Right,
house.
well, you would have at your house.
Yeah, but even with those, it still takes, to charge from empty to full is 45 hours at least.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's different levels. A level 1 would be just plugging into an outlet. You would take weeks to charge.
I'm not saying a regular outlet. Say
Yeah,
like
no,
a 50
understood.
amp.
Yeah, right. So a 240 volt, 50 or 60 amp service, you can charge in, like I said, 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
The level 3 chargers are the DC fast chargers. Those are the ones you can charge in 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But those
We
are
attended
very
that webinar yesterday and one of the presenters was, he's retired now, but he worked for the New York City Police Department. And he said they've been using hybrids since 2002.
Yeah, plug in.
And they've saved millions and millions of dollars on gas. And the vehicles themselves last a lot longer than a gas powered vehicle.
Yeah, Atlantic City, I'm sorry, the city of Atlantic City has had numerous EV police cruisers for years.
And they're using the Ford Mach.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Brian, you had talked about the maintenance and that they would take care of the maintenance. Is that
That's
for
what was expressed in the
indefinitely?
email. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there'd be an interlocal agreement where they would build it, it would be theirs to maintain, theirs to everything. It would just be on your property.
So do you think we should do a resolution of support that?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. If,
I think it would be helpful to support, yeah, just the
Is there a
concept.
motion to do that?
I'll make that motion.
Motion been made, seconded? Questions? And then, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay.
So they'll come up with an interlocal for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of steps between now and actually having an EV charging station, but I think expressing interest in participating with the
Yeah.
county is
Today, when I spoke,
critical
to
first step.
he said something about a contact with the city to attend. He said that they're gonna start some meetings on
Yep.
webinars. to-
Organized.
Yeah, or.
Okay, number 14 on our agenda is a city attorney report.
I had a question for Ryan, I'm sorry. Ryan, our last meeting last year, 2024, we had two properties that we tabled because we needed more information on them. One was Philadelphia Avenue, the guy who has the business, he wanted to buy the lots behind him, and then there was another one. Meg, do you remember who they were? There were two of them, we totaled them.
To sell property?
Yeah, they want,
It was,
they were two city properties and they were,
One was on Hamburg,
yes.
and it's part of the current redevelopment agreement with Jonathan Saker, who's doing the movie production studio. So without communicating with him and getting him to agree.
Okay,
to
so
remove
there's
from
no,
agreement-
I was worried that we tabled them and we never bought them back and we left these
Sure.
residents hanging, so.
You said a retention pond is on the property.
Right, there was a
Yeah, yeah,
retention
yeah.
on the property, that was the other one.
Yeah, so the only possibility there would be to subdivide and then turn over another portion. You're not allowed to transfer a stormwater management facility to another entity.
All right, so did anything come of those? Like, were the residents told that we could not do this, we
Oh,
weren't
yes,
doing this,
that's-
or?
George Frick was notified about the property and the other resident was as well.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I know we tabled it, but it never
Right,
came
never
back
forward.
for, anything, so that's why I just wanted to ask. Because it was in my notes, okay, thank you.
Of course.
Anything else?
No,
Okay.
unless there are any questions.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. City attorney?
No report.
Okay, number 15 on our agenda is the resolution authorizing the 2025 Neighborhood Preservation Program implementation plan. Gonna say that clearly. A roll call.
Motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion,
I'll make a motion. Second. Second.
motion been made and seconded, all roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Dovey,
Yes.
Galloway.
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Keener,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Okay, resolution for the budget appropriation reserve transfers.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, questions? Roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Dovey,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Keener,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Number 17 is a resolution approving vacation time payouts for the Egg Harbor City Police Department.
Make a motion. Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Dovey,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Keener,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Okay. A resolution to release the performance bond of $65,433 and establish a maintenance bond for $9,814.95 for J&J Development Group in the Wawa project. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Questions? This is what Ryan just talked about. Right, so,
Just get the trees replaced.
okay.
Clark,
Like I said, we'll never let
Yes.
things go.
Dash,
Yeah.
Dovey,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Keener,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Okay, number 19 is renew the lease with the Firehouse Pub.
I have a question.
Second.
Well, you have a question?
I have a question, yeah.
Oh.
Is the city named as additional insured? For that?
I don't know. Yeah, Meg?
They provide us with insurance. Yes.
So we are covered?
Yeah.
Okay.
This, how long we've been? This.
Been a while.
Yeah.
Been a long time.
Since.
Okay, is there a motion?
I said that, please select it.
Make a motion.
Motion made, second?
Second.
Okay. Motion made, second, roll call. please.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Dovey,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Keener,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Okay, number 20, resolution to refund the payment due to lien sold in error for Chew. Unpaid property taxes December 18th, 2007. Block 22.07, lot 14, 2009-09-29.
I sent the explanation that Laura sent. Does anyone need further? Oh, I didn't see
A little
it.
bit, yeah.
Jody's here.
I still knew that.
You're gonna have to explain this one again, because I got one explanation, but.
Sorry, which thing?
Number 20.
Remember? Oh, okay. So apparently back in 2007, a municipal lien was issued. The property actually at some point from 2005 to 2006 got the tax map, something got messed up. So it really is city owned property, but it was listed as, I think, unknown, or there was really no owner. So we really don't issue a lien on municipal property, obviously. So we're just, now that it's been discovered, we'll have the tax, everything with the tax map and the tax collection software will be corrected. You need to refund the lien holders that should not have been able to purchase a lien in the first place. So
It's two separate lien.
there's two lien holders. The one lien holder in 2007 bought it, and he's been paying subsequent since then. But for some reason stopped doing that. So Laura said he was an older gentleman. We don't know if something happened or not. So we'll have to get in touch with him anyway to get you the refund. But someone new purchased the lien at this year's tax sale, and then I guess I'm trying to remember. I think the guy contacted us about something, and that's when Laura and the assessor and I think someone from R&B realized that it was actually city owned.
So this reverts back to the city then. Becomes city property again.
It already was. It was already city property and shouldn't have issued the lien.
So
It
it's
just
just
wasn't
clear enough
a
the
lien
title.
issued in her.
It's like the time the bungalow was put on the tax sale, right? Yeah. Okay, is there a motion for number?
Make a motion.
Second,
Motion made, second. Roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash.
Yes.
Dovey,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Keener,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes. Number 21, refund for the same situation for Tobin in the amount of, there is no.
There's no.
$131.51.
Okay, yeah.
Motion.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash.
Yes.
Dovey,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Keener.
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Okay, accepting the state, number 22, accepting the state of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs Affordable Housing obligations for 2025 to 2035. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, questions on the motion?
No, I'd just like to say that it was, our present need is 61 units and our prospective need is 9 units. So that's the amount of affordable housing we'd have to provide over the period.
Mhm.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash.
Yes.
Dovey,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Keener,
Yes,
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
motion passes. Resolution number 23. Requesting a time extension for the fiscal 22 New Jersey DOT Safe Streets to Transit Grant.
Make that motion.
Motion made, second.
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Number 24, resolution requesting a time extension. Also, New Jersey for 2023 NJDOT Safe Streets to Transit. Motion,
So moved.
Second.
motion made second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 25, resolution Sustainable Lake Harbor City Green Team Advisory Committee. A motion,
Second.
questions on the motion?
I wanted to say this just does appoint the members of the committee for the year.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 26, resolution appointing the attorney for the Egg Harbor City Municipal Land Use Board, Carol Goloff, for the year 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Questions? Roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash.
Yes.
Joby,
Yes.
Galloway.
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Keener.
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 27, appointing the engineer for the Egg Harbor City Municipal Land Use Board for 2025 Remington and Vernon. Motion,
I'll make that motion.
Second.
motion made and seconded. Questions? Roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash.
Yes.
Joby.
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Keener,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Number 28, resolution appointing the planner for the Egg Harbor City Municipal Land Use Board for the year 2025 Remington and Vernon. Motion,
I make a motion.
Second.
motion made and seconded. Questions? Roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash.
Yes.
Joby,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Keener,
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Okay, number 29, introduce ordinance number 2, 2025, amending the general code of the city of Egg Harbor, chapter 235, streets and sidewalks, and adding article 7 titled tree removal and replacement.
I have some questions.
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
yeah, let's do that first. Motion, second.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made, second. Questions?
Section, first of all, I'd like to thank Councilwoman Galloway and the Green Team for their hard work in protecting the environment. I want to make it clear that I support the protection of the street trees and the trees on public land. I commend those that worked hard to get the 2 grants totaling $1.8 million. My several questions are here. Section 235(4) and the fees. It states there's a $25 permit fee to code enforcement to apply to remove a tree. If code officials determine an ISA certified arborist is needed, there's a $125 fee charged. Is that fee on top of the 25, making
Yes.
150?
Yes.
Okay, so what factors will be used by code officials to determine if the arborist is needed?
Well, they'll look at the tree, it's dead, they'll say it's dead, you could take it down and there would be no further action. But if it's questionable, we'll call in the arborist, we need to pay the arborist his fee, so that they will have to pay, pass through the city to pay. the
So will
arborist.
code enforcement have additional training? And
Yes,
will they be compensated for this additional work?
compensated for it,
Yes.
that'll be part of their regular duties.
So this is gonna be additional
Yes.
responsibilities of code enforcement. Okay, why does the taxpayer have to pay the arborist when the city of Egg Harbor City has received a $1.8 million tree grant?
Because there's limited funds in there for his salary.
So, okay. Let's move on. So street trees will require replacement of trees with a DPH of 2.5 or pay $500 per tree. Non-street trees, which are on private property, will require a DPH 1.5 or $400. Why are we charging people to remove trees on their own property? They bear the expense in removal, which can be very expensive. This will add approximately $525 or more to the homeowner's expense. Why are we charging residents to replace street trees, considering the city has removed many street trees? Wait a minute, I'm still talking. Why are we charging residents to replace street trees, considering the city has removed many street trees without replacing them? Those that were replaced were done so at no cost to the homeowner. When the sugar maple at my house was damaged by road work, I paid over $2,000 to remove the tree and restore the area. Given the fact that the city has acquired $1.8 million from taxpayers to support the important work of the Egg Harbor City Urban Forest Trust Fund, I believe we should waive permit fees and waive replacement costs for street trees and mind our own business when it comes to privately owned trees on private property. The financial burden on some of the homeowners could be overwhelming.
I would,
So what's your question?
I had many
That was
questions.
that was a long one.
well, the part about mind our own business, I don't disagree with you on that. However, there is a DEP requirement for us to pass this ordinance. And, the city would have to decide how we enforce it.
Does the DEP set the fees?
That's a good question.
No,
No,
well,
no.
the fees were set because when we did our 2 prior tree projects,
Okay,
the average cost of the trees was $400.
okay,
So that's the fee that we put in there. Now you have to understand that if somebody wants to take down a tree on their property, if it's over 12 inches, they will replace that tree with a tree of 1.5 inch caliber, which they could pick up at Home Depot for like $80 and plant it themselves, and then they're done. If they don't want to plant on their property, they could find another location to plant that tree. Say on a neighbor's property or a relative, or perhaps in a park if we have spaces where they can plant. And they can plant that little tree there. Or if they don't want to do either of those things, then they would pay $400 to the city's trust fund, which we're setting up to.
So how
continue our-
are we spending the
I'm
1.8 million?
I'm
I understand that
speaking.
we're paying the
Let me
arborist.
finish Speaking.
Okay,
The $400 would go into a trust fund dedicated strictly for street trees or the tree program. And at this point, we have funding to do plantings, but when that grant expires, we need to keep the tree program going. So these funds will establish a fund that we can use, so the taxpayers don't have to pay for it.
so let me repeat my question then. So I understand we're paying the arborist, money to count the trees and to set up the software and so forth. What is the balance of the 1.8 million? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of trees. If you're assuming that the trees are $400 a piece to put in.
Well, they're gonna cost us a lot more than $400 to put in.
And why is that?
Because they're expensive. They're more expensive than somebody going to Home Depot and putting in a tree. Depends on the species of the tree, the size of the tree. We're required to, by our ordinances, to put street trees in that have a higher caliber or wider caliber. So it's a bigger tree. So it costs more money than what a homeowner could put in.
Well, the trees that were replaced on the street trees that were replaced last time, weren't they $400 or $500 a tree?
Yeah, that was how many, 5, 6 years ago.
I don't think it was 5 or 6 years ago.
Well, our first tree grant was in, I think, 2016.
I think it was a couple years ago when we were.
We
still
had
doing
one in
trees.
2016 and then we had one around 2018 or 2019.
Well, I was on council. What
Yeah, so
happened?
it had to be like
It's
2019.
not just the cost of the tree, though, it's the
No,
labor to put it.
installation, labor, the staking,
So again,
mulching.
if we're gonna tax our residents by additional fees required for permits.
This isn't
I
a
wonder,
tax.
it is, because if a resident has to pay $125 plus $25 for a permit, that is a tax. So my question is, can't we waive those fees for the taxpayers?
Well, I think.
Well, it's not a tax.
I got a
It's
question.
not a tax, it's a fee.
It's
a
actually
fee.
they're the same thing in this instance.
We have to have our code enforcement people go out and look at the tree. How do we come up?
You're not paying them additional to do it. So
We
it's
still
not
have
costing
to
the
pay
city
them.
additional.
And you're taking them away from doing another job.
That's why I asked, are we?
Well, that's why we have
compensating
to
them?
charge a fee. To help pay for
Well,
their
there's
job.
hopefully going to be an extra person in code enforcement soon. So hopefully that'll cover that issue. However, I think there's some, I don't agree with any of it.
I don't either,
Nanette knows
but-
that, but unfortunately,
it's
we have
unfortunate.
to pass something through the DEP because MS4, you want to talk about that?
I still got a question. I
Right,
skipped
well,
over.
Good.
Let's start back. These trees that you plant, are these the ones that the roots go straight down, they don't go out, correct?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about roots of trees, okay?
Well, that's the whole thing that we have passed, well, we had passed that a while ago, that when any new trees that we plant, that the roots grow down. Cause there's an ordinance in Ocean City, when we build a house, you have to have that pear, I guess they're called pear trees or whatever they're called, where the roots have to go down, so it's not damaging the sidewalk.
Well, there is a tree list, a recommended tree list. And the state is requiring this ordinance
Mhm.
because they want to see more native trees planted. So we have a list that is prepared. We also have a secondary list of banned tree species that cannot be planted.
Gotcha.
And, you know, this is something that we're being made to do. It has really nothing to do with the grant.
But they're
This is
making us
coming
cause that fee?
from the DEP and the Pinelands Commission. It was approved. This ordinance is being sent to every municipality in the state. So some towns have their ordinances already in place, which is acceptable, but if they don't, this is the recommended ordinance. we made a lot of adjustments to make it very lenient for our residents, because every committee member said, you know, we don't want to burden our residents or our property owners, because, you know, they're already tapped out. So we cut these replacements down to practically nothing. I mean, the most that if they took down a humongous tree that's on their property, they'd have to replace it with 3 trees. The original ordinance had like 5. So we cut that back. We cut the fees back. We cut the caliper of the tree back so that they could get an inexpensive tree. And we did a lot to make it, you know, more palatable for the residents.
I would add to that and ask the city attorney to comment on the exemptions that are in that ordinance also. There are exemptions for certain trees and the condition, correct?
Yeah, and looking, you know, we're in a lot of different municipalities, and this is a common conversation between council and committee members, but this, as Councilwoman stated, and this ordinance is being dictated by DEP as part of the overall stormwater management system for the state of New Jersey. Everybody has the same questions with regards to private property. DEP lists a limited number of exceptions. All those exceptions are captured in this ordinance. And when you try to deviate from those exceptions, ultimately this ordinance, once approved, has to go to DEP. And I've seen many instances where DEP will reject the ordinance and send it back to council to be more in line with the exceptions. Some of the exceptions, the big one, if it's a dead tree or a danger to structures on the property, it comes down without any replacement requirements, including costs to the homeowner. And then there's other exceptions, but that's really the one that applies the most to residential property. So yeah, this ordinance has got a lot of questions. It's gotten a lot of pushback, but DEP, as of right now, is standing by it. And quite frankly, most municipalities have passed this last year.
It was supposed to be passed in May of last year.
Yeah, and I know that Councilwoman's been working on trying to get it to the point where it was the most acceptable to the residents, and this is what this year is. So, but your hands are tied a little bit, or a lot of it, because it does have to be submitted to DEP, and DEP will kind of big brother you on this. If they don't like what you put forward, they're going to reject it and send it back.
Well, to Councilman Dash's question, how flexible are we with the fee, the number of the fee, the 400?
400, yeah, you have flexibility there.
So would the committee recommend or maybe consider lowering that fee a little bit?
How about even with the 25 for code to come out and look at it? Like say, okay, we charge 25 for code to come out and look at it, but once they go and they plant a tree and they spend $80 on a tree, why can't we give them their $25 back? They went and they got the tree, they did what they were supposed to do. So now why are we charging them you know what I mean? They put the tree in, give them their $25 back. We have some families that can't afford groceries every week. They're going to the food pantries in town to feed their kids. And we're charging them $25 to be told, you have to take that tree down, and then you have to replace it with a tree no less than $80. So why can't we say, okay, once you put that $80 tree in, we're going to refund you that $25. And I know it's paperwork, and I apologize, girls. I get that part of it, but like we're nickel and diming our residents to the point where, you know, how many of our kids are already on free lunch? You know, free breakfast, free
80%.
lunch.
I'd also like to remind you that over 60% of the homes in Egg Harbor City are non-owner occupied and are rental properties. So
who pays that? The owners or the?
Well,
because this was a big argument with the snow removal. Who goes out and shovels the sidewalks? The tenants or the homeowners? That was, you know.
Well, I think the property owners are responsible for their properties. Look at them. Some of them are very unkempt as it is now.
But there are many homes in Egg Harbor City that are owned by the residents that live there.
Yeah.
There are many seniors that live in our community.
Yeah,
They live in their home that own the property.
That's me.
That pay high taxes, pay
That's me.
increasing fees for everything.
Right.
So that's why I'm always gonna fight for reducing any extra charges that we're gonna burden any of our residents with.
Well, do you remember, what is it, last year, perhaps the year before? We changed our ordinances to add administrative fees for the code enforcement department to go out and do inspections. How much was that fee?
Yeah, that
Like
was a big
$125?
Mhm.
This is $25.
It's $25 plus it's $125 if the arborist has to go out.
Yeah, they could hire their own.
And there's
arborist.
no, and that's not what the ordinance says.
Yeah, you read the heart, read the. it is
Well, I
in there.
will read it again.
Yeah, read
But
it.
were those?
There's a lot in there.
Were those administrative fees, and I'm just asking for knowledge and clarification. To go out to rental properties for the homeowners for like COs, is that what that administrative fee was?
I don't remember exactly which.
That actually was for overuse of municipal services.
No, I don't think,
$250. That is that what?
no, I don't think
you're talking
that,
about?
I don't think that's what
Yeah,
the net
yeah.
is referring to.
I believe it is.
It was for the actual inspections of the properties.
Well, the question here is about the trees and.
Yeah.
Are we gonna stick with that 400 or can that be
Well, that's
modified?
the way, it was introduced, so. I mean,
Uh,
we haven't voted to introduce it yet, but.
No.
I mean, we worked on this for over a year.
Yeah, we did that, right?
And.
Yeah.
So Steve's other
And
question.
at the committee meeting, everybody was in agreement to introduce the ordinance.
Well, not all of us are on that committee, so
Well, this
So,
is your prerogative to
this is,
speak now.
this is why I have the question.
I think one of your other questions, Steve, was about the street trees and the residents are not, as far as I know, are not responsible to cut those down. That would be the city, but the city is responsible to replant a tree, which will cost us a lot more money than what a resident could pay. I think that's what the point. So
Once this ordinance is
That's what I
adopted, the
thought.
city will be responsible for street trees.
Right.
Right now, the city is not responsible for the street trees because the city in the mid-1990s abolished its shade tree committee. So ever since then, it's been on the residents to take care of those street trees, which are over 100 years old. I had to take down 2 trees, cost me a couple $1,000.
Me too.
So this will solve that problem. And for residents, they won't have to take down the trees. They could call us and tell us if our tree is dropping branches, could you send somebody out? We'll go out and look at it. If the arborist agrees that that tree should come down, the city will take that tree
So
down.
the
and
street
relieve
trees, the
And
street,
relieve the homeowner or the property owner of the responsibility for that tree.
okay, so just to
So that's
clarify,
thousands of
all of the
dollars.
street tree costs will not be borne by any of the homeowners?
no,
No,
Okay.
right
And
now, it'll
that's-
be taken care of by the
Inspection
grant.
fee.
Yeah, that's
Inspection
why-
fee, the fee for the arborist.
yeah, that's
arborist.
why you have the
Gets
inspection
borne
fee
by
and the tree. fee.
Gets borne by the homeowner, but the cost to actually have the tree come down.
Okay, so that
Which
goes
is
back to my
majority.
initial, why are we charging residents to have a street tree inspected? That the city's gonna be responsible for taking down and then replacing?
I don't believe we are. We're not. If someone
That's what
falls in a
you just
street
said.
tree, we go inspect it, that's on us, because we're responsible for it. They're not paying for the street.
Well, that's a
trees.
good
That's what
question.
I just heard.
What is it? Is it the street trees on someone's property, not really their property, it's city property?
City project.
So in that case, if a tree has to come down and be inspected by an arborist, then that's
That
a
would-
city
that would-
expense.
That, yes.
So the only one,
It's
the
on
trees,
one on their personal property.
the trees that we're talking
Right.
about here are
So if
on.
we
the
have to
person.
send our arborist to their property,
Right.
we have to pay him to go there and.
Which most
inspect
of
tree.
the issues that we're gonna have are street trees.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, but once this ordinance is adopted, if a tree has a caliber of 12 inches or greater, they're gonna have to get a permit. We have to keep track of trees. We have to make sure that those trees are replaced. That's what the $25 is for.
Yeah, and I think that, and I kind of agree that 400 feet kind of looks like a big chunk.
That's a deterrent to taking down trees.
I understand.
They'll take them down,
So it's a syntax, basically.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's not right. Also, it states, any person requesting the removal of a street tree as defined as a tree removal. Or any non-street tree. Shall submit a tree removal application to the tree board through city code enforcement. So are the fees waived or not waived if it's a city tree? It appears to me that they're not waived.
I think
That-
it just
that
said that
resident
if it's
would be-
not a street.
To city
tree.
expense.
Yeah, I think, read that again, Steve.
Any person requesting the removal of a street tree as defined as a tree removal with a DPH of 2.5 inches or more, or any non-street tree with a DPH of 12 inches or more on their property shall submit a tree removal application to the tree board through the city code enforcement department. No tree shall be removed until the code enforcement department or the city's ISA certified arborist has reviewed and approved the removal, which means, if I'm reading this correctly, if you have a tree in front of your house, it's a street tree, and you feel it needs to be taken down. I had one in front of my house. It was dying. It was breaking off pieces on my neighbor's car. You have to pay the $25 to city code enforcement, and then if city code enforcement decides that the certified arborist is required, then it's another $125. And to be honest with you, if I was code enforcement myself, I would refer everything to the city arborist, because why would I take that responsibility?
Who's on the tree board?
We
That's
don't
good.
have, we have to appoint people.
So I would say that
They're gonna
has
be, I
to
guess,
that
no
has to be
trees?
clarified on there that it's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah, I
that's a
agree.
mistake.
Yeah,
That's,
Can we amend
that's a
that just
mistake.
so that there is no, to clarify that there is no fee associated with a street tree?
So
Yeah,
should
it's
this
really
be
not
tabled
appreciated.
until it's written correctly?
I think
So-
once you introduce it,
so
that's
then-
when you make the
You're
change.
talking application process, regulated activities,
Yes.
section A, item 1
Yes.
should read, any person requesting removal of a no, it's gotta stay.
That's what I just wrote. I mean, I just read that.
Why don't, there's no rush to do this tonight, is there?
When does it?
So we could,
No.
we could table, is that a motion to table?
You can introduce it, make
Okay.
changes,
And then
yeah.
have the public hearing. Yeah, because when's it happen?
It was supposed to be done last year,
Oh,
so we're already,
well, we're not in a rush to adopt it, but
so why don't
I
we,
have a schedule
just to
of
make sure
meetings.
we're all clear, is that a motion to table?
I make a motion to.
Is there a second? to
I'll
that?
second it.
All right. Motion's been made and seconded to table. All in, roll call.
You want-
Yeah,
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Dovey, Galloway,
No.
Heiss,
Yes.
Hesse,
Yes.
Painter,
yes.
Timbers,
No.
right.
Yes.
Okay.
So one thing, if I could just say about this,
It's
is
tabled.
that I know it's tabled, but I didn't get a chance to really comment either. But maybe a few things. One of my concerns, which I think somebody addressed in an email, it might have been you or Jerry. If a homeowner is taking out trees to put on an addition or possibly put in a pool, that in fact is an exemption also. That's what my interpretation was.
No.
Because that would defeat the purpose.
No, that's not.
No, I think it is. I do think it is.
Well,
It's not in the ordinance as written.
It is.
I know, I'm saying it should be in the ordinance.
I agree.
Because that really defeats the whole purpose of improving your home and increasing
Well-
valuation for the city.
The fact that we tabled,
Taxes.
really shouldn't even discuss it anymore.
Well, I didn't have my chance to say what I wanted to say.
Understood.
So how
But-
we get the.
We gotta get those questions answered and then make adjustments to the ordinance. And then, bring it back to,
How's the ordinance committee meeting?
And I had asked Ryan to talk about something, but that didn't happen. I mean, there's a reason why the tree ordinance of the state's making us do it. If we don't do it, there's consequences.
or there was
With the-
more than one question here though, so
But I never,
just
I
seemed
tried
like
to
it
get
would
him
be
to
better.
say it, and then I was interrupted.
well,
So it has to do with MS4.
Yeah, municipal separate storm sewer system.
Yeah.
Which is federal requirement that DEP figures out a way to administer and meet the federal guidelines. So you are required to adopt some ordinance that meets some minimum requirements, as Chris indicated, with limited exemptions. The form of that is pretty open, but I think the gist of it is pretty set.
well, we understand that we have to do this. We just want to make sure all the questions are answered. Seemed like we didn't have all the answers.
You have other ones from other towns that you work in, that you could share?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll share. I'm sure Chris has some as well, he can share. Yeah, I mean, most of the towns are stuck to the model.
But the fees, like you said, were flexible. You could make the fees whatever you want at that point, right?
Yes.
And then we had a question about street trees versus property trees. So that's another thing.
And the exemptions.
The exemptions are laid out in the model ordinance. So. we
I'm
can talk
pretty
about it.
sure one of them might have been, I'm not making it up, was that if you're gonna put an addition on your house, you shouldn't have to pay to cut the trees down. Because it defeats the purpose of doing for the city. It's like a
For
double
development.
taxation.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, happy to talk to you about it.
You get what I'm saying?
I did.
Like I put in a $25,000 pool that's now taxable. Why would I have to pay to cut down a tree? The city's making more money on me putting in the addition or the pool than they are on the fee for the tree. That makes no sense.
It's your property. Why are you paying somebody to take something down on your property? That's my house. You're not gonna tell me I gotta pay.
You gotta
to take
wait
a
till
tree.
number 32, public comment.
Yeah, we'll get to you.
By the time I'll forget everything by that time.
Here, write it down.
All right. All right, number 30 on the agenda is a bill list.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Questions on the bills? Roll call.
Clark,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Jogi,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Heist,
Yes.
Hesse.
Yes.
Keener.
Yes.
Timbers,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Okay, we'll start with the mayor. Comments?
Well, I just want to comment. I know we have to pass some sort of a tree ordinance. I'm against the state infringing on our private property. I think it's a travesty that this is happening in the state of New Jersey. I love trees just as much as the next guy does, regardless of what some people might say, and maybe literature that's been put out about me years past. But I do love trees, and I just don't think that anybody should tell you what you have to do on your own property.
Amen.
And we don't have a choice about it. We have to do it now. And that's the sad part.
I'll be in collections.
Okay, anything else, please?
No?
Go to this side.
Hungry.
Councilwoman Clark.
Nothing at this time, thank you.
At Heist. Councilwoman Heist.
I just have a quick question. Jerry, any word on our salt spreader? I forgot to ask, earlier.
That's okay. We do have one salt spreader. That's what we used in the last storm. It was the F800, which worked really well. We're still waiting on the other one, the newer truck and that salt spreader. There's a hydraulic issue that's significant.
So it's not repaired yet.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
That was it. Thank you.
I think in the future, we should move that podium over
It should be pushed up because you can't
because you
see
can't
anybody.
see the person.
Either
talking.
take that row, first row out and push it up.
Yeah.
It was up, but now it's back.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, Councilman Dash.
I have nothing else. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Councilman Doty.
Nothing.
Pro Tem, Paul Timbers.
I don't want to talk about I want to talk about the tree ordinance because, we had a committee and I thought I had, expressed my personal sentiment about it. So I'll just leave it with go birds.
Baby trees.
Councilwoman Hesse.
Well, as far as my sentiments on that, I understand why they're trying to do it and why they're replacing them, and putting them elsewhere, but I also feel the same way that if I want to put trees in somewhere, I will, and taking out the trees, I feel, we've had a large tree taken out. I can't even tell you, Gary, how big was that tree? How many trees would I have had to put in to put that tree?
Don't incriminate me.
You were watching them.
They
take
don't
it
want to know how
down.
many trees I take.
Yeah. Anyway, the other thing that I wanted to say on another note is, the mayor and I sat in on a Red Cross, meeting. And, it was it was pretty informative, and they actually have, smoke detectors for free, and they'll actually put them in for you. There's a number that
do
you
it
can
every year.
call. 1-800, do you? 1-800 Red
Me.
Cross?
They do.
They do it every year. Okay, well, just in case people don't know, like, I
Yeah.
didn't know.
They used to do.
If you don't have the
Swag, they used to do it in
ones,
swag or something.
The penguin ones.
Yeah.
They went door to door for a while.
Yeah, they went
They
door to
didn't
door.
knock on my door, but you
Yeah.
remember them knocking on our door? No.
Well,
Yeah.
the we is,
Years in a row.
the
Yeah.
we is there, the fire department,
Right.
They gave them to us.
Right.
and-
Did, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
there.
we would like to, yeah. Well, I talked to them
Yeah.
last time and I said, we
yeah.
wanted to maybe do something. in the
We
summer.
canvassed 90% of Egg Harbor City
Awesome.
in 2 visits.
Well, it's still going on and it's 1-800 Red Cross. I don't know, Butchie, if you're getting any more. So, okay. And, they also had one other thing, which I thought was pretty interesting. It's called a bed shaker. Has anybody ever heard of that? It's pretty cool.
Bed bugs.
And it's, yeah, have you heard? Yeah, it's for people that are deaf and you actually still have to have a smoke alarm. And they work together. You put it under your pillow or under your mattress and it shakes the bed. So just a little something I thought was interesting. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Galloway?
Yes, I just wanted to congratulate Gary and Butch for getting the key to the city. And thank you for living John Kennedy's dream, which was ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And if we would all live by that and do something for our city, it would be a great city. So congratulations. That's
Thank
it.
you. Councilman Wright.
Got nada.
I would just have to go along with Carl and fly Eagles fly.
No, they're going down.
So, hope we see him in the Super Bowl.
Don't go anywhere because we have to take a picture.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah. Everybody's.
What do we have?
Garrett, it's your turn, you remember?
Public comment?
I think everybody's heard enough about the street trees, but I don't see that the burden should be put on the homeowner or the trees on my property. With the
Amen.
storms that are coming, as everybody knows, the storms are getting more violent, more trees come down. If for anybody has a tree close to the house, they want to get rid of them because of the hazard.
Mhm.
And I worry about it all the time. I got a tree over there on Boston Avenue that's been there probably 200 years, Richie owns the backyard, and I worry all the time that thing's gonna come down on the house with my son, my daughter-in-law, my grandson there. But I can't see it, I have to come pay someone code enforcement. That's not even an arborist to look at it, let alone get an arborist and have to pay them to come over. At one point in time on Boston Avenue, we didn't even have a choice as a homeowner. They come in, they said the trees were damaging all the sidewalks and curbs. They removed every tree on the whole street.
Yep.
None of us as residents even had a say in any of that.
Yep.
Now we're going back the other way and we're saying you have to replace the tree. If you want to replace the street trees, I say that's fine, but I can't see where, if I want to cut 4 or 5 trees that I feel are hazardous around my house that are gonna fall or on my garage, that I should have to replant those trees.
You don't.
We only got city lots. Some lots are 40 foot, 60 foot. Where am I gonna put the trees that are, you know what I mean? I'd have to put them on somebody else's private property. I think it's crazy.
One of the exemptions in the ordinance, I know we're not supposed to talk about it, but one of the exemptions in the ordinance is if there's a tree on your property that is damaging your property, it can come down with no fee it's an exemption to the ordinance.
I think
Mike?
Chris is.
Say your name. Oh, I'm sorry. Before you do that, Mike, our city attorney has something.
No, I was just gonna say the same thing. The model, the DEP provides an exemption for trees that are either damaged or dangerous to the structure. Dangerous to the property structure to come down with no replacement or no fee. That's one of the exemptions.
But I agree with that.
I'm not arguing
I
for the law, I'm just
understand
telling
what
you
you're
what
saying
it says.
Why should I have to come to the city and code
Right.
enforcement?
Pay $150 for telling somebody to tell you that.
I'm gonna have a tree contractor come over to remove the tree. Why should the DEP's not gonna know if I cut 10 trees down or 3 trees down? I shouldn't have to report to them. If it's a city tree, that's fine, but a tree on my private property, I don't see where I'd have to pay all those fees let alone replace the tree with something that I feel is hazardous, to have somebody have to come over and say, oh yeah, it's hazardous, you can take it down. I got enough common sense to know whether it's a hazard.
I'm not arguing. in favor of that.
If the city, if the city did that line with the street tree, private property, on my private property, I should be able to remove whatever tree I want to do without going through all that.
Amen.
I agree.
And you, if you took a poll in Egg Harbor City, I guarantee you, the residents of Egg Harbor City would all say the same thing. Does anybody in this room know what it costs to take one tree down? You take
At least.
a minimum,
At least.
$2,000.
A lot.
Let alone the burden of the extra assessment that you're gonna charge on top of that. Most people don't even have that money, the $2,000, to take the one tree down. It's crazy.
Well,
Need to
just-
call your assemblyman and senator.
Just to be
Yeah.
clear, it's a state issue. We don't want to do it. We have to do it. We
What's the
don't want to
penalty if
do
we don't
it.
comply?
What's that?
Yes, Brian, could you explain why we need an MS4 permit?
MS4 fines are real. Atlantic City got
For the
fined
city?
$100,000 for various violations,
must be-
not this
That's what I was getting
specifically,
to
but DEP has the ability to levy fines
Oh,
for
yeah.
this, and they will do so.
How much, Brian?
Well, Atlantic City, 100,000, that was not related to tree ordinance or anything like that, there's other issues.
But they can fine you for.
Yes, they have the
Following.
capacity and, yeah.
I believe they negotiated that fine.
I think I negotiated down to that, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the.
Carl did that.
Mr. Jim Petty?
Yeah, Mike, you're Penny 280 Northern Avenue, quick question for that. And then you said during the Arbus report, there was like 1,000 some places that trees could be planted. As homeowners, this $1 million, we're not gonna be forced to put trees in the city right away through this grant on those open spaces, right? They're not gonna be filled by the city.
They will be filled by the city. We're
So-
going
so
to
what
attempt to
you're
fill
saying
them.
is that in front of my house, let's just say the arbor said there's 3 spots in front of my house. You're just gonna come there and plant trees?
That's right.
Yeah, I'm against that.
Yeah.
100% against
Last
that.
time I
I'll be cutting it down.
It's not your property.
I'll cut it down, somebody cut it down. I don't know what.
Well, the weed or hits it and the bark comes.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Then you go to the code enforcement to see if it's dying or not.
New Orleans Avenue, you have 3 lots down there that are gonna be subdivided and sold. There's probably 1,000 trees in there. What are you can't cut them down now? I mean, what is that like for development too?
Okay, that will have to be covered in a separate ordinance, in the developmental ordinance, which is a separate ordinance that we're gonna have to address, because if you take down more than 4 trees on a property within 2 years.
I mean, like, that's gonna
it's-
drive up the cost of a lot too, like, the person that buys a lot's gonna have to pay extra money. So I just think that's gonna impede development.
Like I asked that question and they said developers are paying those fees to communities all around the state.
Because I mean, and the reality is every municipality is being forced to adopt these ordinances. So developers are already dealing with it, most of the places that develop.
So once this tree grant goes through, then I'm gonna have trees in front of my house.
Well, the trees will be planted with money that's in the grant.
But what if the homeowner doesn't want the trees, you get them anyway?
It's going to be up to the city to design streets, and when we do road projects, we have money set aside per
All my
street.
curbs in front of my house, all my curbs.
How about your?
You don't have curbs.
No, I do.
Yeah, your irrigation too, guys are right.
Like I.
I'm with you on that.
And my curbs have totally been destroyed.
By trees.
By trees.
And we don't have $8,000
You
to
know what I
put
mean?
back
Like,
in.
I think if you wanna put trees in front of my house, I think that you should replace my curb first. And make it appropriate to plant the trees, and then I'll take it. But I don't want more trees there and have to replace my curbs.
I didn't
See,
think
like with us,
you
when we
have
build
like
houses,
timbers
you
there,
gotta
don't you?
have-
Yeah.
You gotta put 2 trees in front of them,
Have regular curbs.
but they have to be pear trees.
That
where they
totally has
go
to
down,
be
you can't
my
go
whole
Do you have
up,
sidewalk?
And they have to be an inch and a half for it.
I mean, you wanna put syrup, sidewalk and curbs in my house, then I'll take the trees.
Well,
I don't want sidewalks, just.
well, in future
I'm
programs,
not getting sidewalk,
in,
I'll take the curb.
in future programs, road programs and things like that, those kind of things will be addressed.
Just agree that this is overstepping the grounds as a private homeowner. I park my cars there, I don't want sap on my cars, okay? I don't want leaves all over my cars when they fall, like some trees are very dirty. My gutters are full from trees that are half a block away, and these little whirly birds come off. You know what I mean? It's just, trees, some trees are damaging, some people don't like them, you're a homeowner. My taxes are 8,000, 8,500, I think, a year, and it's just not right that you're making homeowners forced to do this stuff, it's just not right.
But it's not us, like,
Yeah.
it's the state, it's not us.
Well, then you gotta modify.
We gotta
the
fight for our
ordinance
citizens.
and push that state mandate to the limit.
Yep.
Yes.
Do
I
the
agree.
very minimum that you have to do to satisfy the DEP and do not go above and beyond that.
Yep.
Because it's not fair to the taxpayer.
Well, as of right now, this was supposed to be passed the middle of last year.
Oh, we can stretch
and we
another year then.
haven't done it.
Right.
So are we subject to a fine for that?
No,
Not at the moment, but
Okay.
there's
certainly.
April, right, Jerry? They're coming after us in April.
So when does Ryan submit the end score report? Typically in June, June 1st, right? So the.
Jody made
I was gonna say, Jody.
You got a couple of months.
Yeah, well, Jody prepares most of it. I said it's on the.
He gets an annual email with some questions.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's it. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
Jody wears a lot of hats. There is a very informative presentation that.
We'll
I think
go
the
over
Finance
that at the
Commission
meeting next week.
Put together. Yeah, I mean, I think I'll share with all council and maybe we'll provide a hard copy to review it.
I changed my email.
But I mean, it does explicitly say at minimum municipalities must adopt an ordinance that addresses both removal and replacement. And it must apply to all lands of the municipality. So public, private, otherwise.
Yeah, but it doesn't say you gotta charge.
It does not
Right,
say that.
there's leverage, there's things that you can do to adjust it, but. You know, municipalities can use existing ordinances if they meet minimum requirements, MS4, yours, I do not believe does. So, you know, to your point, you can go through and figure out what the minimums are and how to meet them. But there is at least a requirement to address trees on both public and private property.
I mean, just like you guys, you have a beautiful property there on Grand Avenue. They might put 5 trees in front of your house there.
And what-
Where's your property at?
And I gotta cut all around them, one, for two, how about if they hit my irrigation, they gonna replace it all, I got. I can't believe, I can't even believe there's something that's gotten, if it's on city property, guys, right away, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Private property, I rest assured. I'm cutting, if there's trees on my property, I'm cutting it down with that. I'm not calling code enforcement or anybody else, it's coming down. I've been here 67 years and we've never had this issue in our city on trees. Nobody in the city has ever wanted to cut a tree down in the right of way. It's always on the homeowner, even though the trees are in the right of way of the city, because the city doesn't have the resource. They don't have a bucket truck, they don't have certified climbers, gear, chainsaws, chaps. Believe you me, there's a lot involved with cutting trees down. So I just don't feel you should put that burden on private property on the citizen. It's hard enough to pay the bill that contractor to, let alone pay the additional fee.
Well, you know, the residents have had the responsibility for taking care of the street trees since the 1990s. It's like 25 years. Our trees are in such poor condition because of that, because they haven't been maintained for 25 years. And instead of maintaining them and trimming them and keeping them healthy so that they provide shade and habitat for wildlife and all the good things, including helping our stormwater system, it just hasn't happened. People just take them down. That creates another problem called heat islands. We have streets that the whole street was stripped bare of trees so that they could pave the road. And there's on Cincinnati Avenue, the 500 block, there's 2 trees.
Boston Avenue, I told you what they.
2 trees, and that woman came to council and stood there and said, "You're not taking my trees down. I just planted them. They cost me $400 each to put in." And the council president at the time let her keep those 2 trees. Well, I guarantee you, if you look at electric bills for that block, they went up since all those trees came down. And that's part of the environmental benefits of trees, is that they help reduce heat. If you put a reader on a tree, on a street that doesn't have a tree, and put one under a tree, you're gonna see a 20-degree difference. And our A workers go out there and they're picking up trash and it's 100 degrees for us, it's 125 degrees for them. So we need shade. It's
Okay.
mandatory for us to exist.
I got solar, mine.
So, I mean, there's a lot of, we're gonna have to start when we have our meeting next week on Tuesday, please come. We're gonna start from the beginning, which is the benefits of trees. And we will learn all about the benefits of trees. Then we will go through the MS4 document that Ryan is discussing and has on his computer now. I have an extra copy if anybody wants it. And we'll go through all this and explain it to the community why we need to adopt this ordinance. The fees can be worked out. I mean, if you don't want to charge, that's fine. The city will have to pay the code enforcement people to do that part of the job, take them away from other duties when we could help fund that department, which needs another employee at this point. So, I mean, we can talk about all that, but the ordinance has to be adopted. It will benefit the community in the long run. And I hear a lot of people talk about, oh, well, they lift sidewalks. There's not a tree on earth that won't lift your sidewalks. And concrete was not meant to be permanent. That has a lifespan too. So you'll see a lot of sidewalks that are cracked and broken and they blame it on the tree when actually it's just the weather, the freezing, the heat in the summer, expanding and contract. You're a builder, you know, that's what happens with concrete.
That's why they make us
It
put pear
doesn't
trees in front of these houses to get CEOs that the roots grow down so they don't grow out and lift up the concrete.
Pear trees are an invasive species and are banned.
Oh, well, I don't know what they're called. I know that's one of the trees that they.
I think we've got to put this
Yeah.
to bed for now.
Next week.
Mr. Foster, please.
Change topics?
Yeah.
I'll be quick. Chris Foster from the EDC. It's come across our emails and whatnot recently about trash cans that the EDC has that are in the Public Works building.
Yeah, I just answered that question.
So
through
we
the
did.
Email.
I think you did, and I appreciate that. I just want to make sure because they're important trash cans to us for our events. Also, I know an email came up of how we handle the trash and whatnot during the
Yeah.
events. So just to be quick, the mayor's helped us out for many years. Mr. Dovey has helped us out. Those trash cans are lined on the street, lined behind food trucks. So that when we do an event, the goal is at the end of the night, all the trash is picked up, volunteers, guys in the back help us. There's a lot of volunteers that
Using
are
those
there at the
buckets.
very end, so they're critical to us. We just want to make sure that, I know it's a dirty thing, but we just want to make sure that.
So you use those buckets and you put them on the street
Correct.
during the event. And then what happens to them?
We have a can that's in.
In between the old firehouse there and the empty lot.
Right.
From
so-
AC West.
Correct. So at the end of the night,
Two of them, one
our goal
recyclable.
is not to have city trash cans full of trash and have to pay and have the burden go on the taxpayer and pay city workers to do that. So at the end of the night, we empty all them, we take all our these cans. Everything gets moved over that.
So how do
To
you
the
get,
can.
how do you get the trash out of the coder?
My kids would take the trash bags. I'm trying, because I do it. Okay, go ahead, and I'm trying to save you.
How do you get the trash out of the toter and into the dumpster?
It's all our volunteers, the kids.
You lift those things?
Everything.
No, we take the trash bag out of the trash can, put it in the golf cart and go down. Yeah,
These cans.
okay, so now you don't.
Butch and his firemen
Yeah.
and the policemen lift those heavy, dirty, nasty cans and dump them in the dumpster.
Mm.
But I think the
Wouldn't it
only.
be easier to just use the wire frames
It is
and
not, they
just
do
pick
not.
up the trash?
There's so much trash generated from that in the trucks. So we're just trying to be as efficient as possible, and the big cans make the big difference.
Well,
So.
I only asked that question because I saw them over there and I didn't know what you were doing with them. And I thought maybe because two of our properties that were in the MPP, I think I sent that to you, Karen. Two of our properties, I believe the firehouse, I don't know if you have a recycling can there. And you do have a recycling can there? Okay. And the senior center, I'm not sure whether they have them. And that's what I was just wondering, just putting it out there.
Well, we did have the waiting list too, which Meg has. I don't know I don't know if all the people got.
Yeah,
their
and I know-
opinions or not, so we were just
MPP also
questioning
had sent that
because.
letter out to everybody. I think
Yeah.
it goes back to 23 or
Yeah,
whenever it was
something like
22
that.
there when that went out,
Yeah, so
so.
we were just questioning if there's any that could be distributed, people that who needed them in the zone.
And I know we
But
have
that's
30
why
of them,
we
but it
just
sounds like
wanted
a
to know.
lot, but we could use more actually. So if we start shortening them, it's gonna hurt us.
Okay.
So we're just
Just needed
looking
to
for
know.
shirts that.
That's what we ask. We
Oh,
don't just,
that's-
we don't just take.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay.
I have another
We just have
question.
to answer to these people that want the totes, that's all.
Did every residential property in the NPP zone get a toter and a recyclable?
80.
So
80
as
people.
MPP coordinator, when I took over from Candace Negron, I spent the first 6 months delivering trash cans every other week to everyone who.
So everybody
emailed
got
me, Facebook me or called the city clerk. After 6 months, there were no more requests. The remaining were given to the EDC.
Perfect.
And you need what's there, and you don't want to
Correct.
give any of them up.
Mayor, I guess what you were saying, you didn't know they were given to the.
Well, I know we had a waiting list and people were asking about it, that's all.
Well, we're also talking about that in committee for trash,
Yeah.
We
cans.
Just need a number that's.
separate from
Yeah, and
those.
but
Yeah.
it was an NPP conversation way back when all this happened.
Right.
And
Yeah,
you-
I suggested it
On that.
on the very first meeting that the
Yeah.
NPP had back when,
Yeah,
what's his name was here? It was
Frank?
Sartorio,
So, right.
right?
Phil.
For that zone, and they did purchase them, and I assumed that they gave them out, and then I saw this
Yeah,
30
and then there was. all
30
those
buckets
extras
sitting
that
there,
they
not
were-
being used, and
because we only got enough for the people on that block, everybody.
The second year Candace had gotten enough for the 300 and 400 block. And that's why I had the 200 and some in public when I took over.
So the people on, you're saying the 300 and 400 didn't get them?
Street.
Uh-huh.
So how many are there now in the highway?
If she ordered enough for everybody, that's what I'm curious about.
So we gotta make sure those 30 stay there.
That's
Is
what
what you're asking.
The other thing is we can move them.
No, they don't have to be moved, that's not. we're-
Jerry, you know where they're at?
harassing you.
Yeah,
And they're there, there's 30 of them there.
I haven't counted them, but they're there.
Okay.
They had snow on them.
Uh-huh.
Couple weeks.
And
Oh,
who,
so-
who
I'll count them
gave,
tomorrow.
who gave them
All
to
right.
me again? I don't know if you answered me.
So Candace had ordered them before I took over as MPP coordinator. After the 6 months of me handing them out and no more requests were coming in, the remaining 30 were given to the EDC to use on the events on the avenue.
By who? That's my
The
question.
MPP.
But that would
because
be
they were
you.
left over.
That would be you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right, but that was discussed at an NPP meeting though.
yeah, because there was
Yeah.
no one else wanted them, and we were like, well, what do we do? As MPP property, they had to stay in the district, and the best use to stay in the district is to let them be used for the event.
Now my question, which I think I had mentioned over with my email. The ones that the city uses, because we've always, we have
I
East
think
Pilgrim.
I think he said there's 4 that are separate.
Because I didn't understand if they were mixed up with those or not, because we do at the pavilion. Occasionally, we need stuff for the cleanup. We usually use like probably
Yeah, I
4 or
think he
8.
said there's 4 that are separate.
And then some for Peace Pilgrim Park when we have the celebration. Whatever's in like, you know what I'm saying? Like, where are they mixed in with those? Cause if they are, we're gonna have to buy new ones. That's really the big question.
Well, we can check to see how many are there and then make sure that they're not going anywhere. And if there's extra, maybe those 4 she's talking about, if they're there and if they're used for that.
I'll count them tomorrow morning.
Or maybe there's some somewhere else that we don't know about.
Can they be used for different things, as long as they're not working, you're not having the same day, on the same day an event, can they be used?
Correct, as long as
Both
they
places.
stay in.
Right, you
as
count them up and you
property.
make sure that they come back.
That they don't
Somebody-
disappear.
But they don't just, walk
Things
away.
with MPT property, like the lift, like the stage, like all the stuff that MPP has purchased. I have to show DCA that we have those things in inventory and that those things are used in the MPP district. So you couldn't give them to city residents on Cincinnati Avenue or on Atlantic Avenue, for instance. You know what I mean?
But a borrow would be. Okay,
So
because you do use.
let me ask you a question. After this is the final year of the NPP grant. What happens to the equipment after that?
So after the MPP grant is finished,
Yes.
say these trash cans are donated to the EDC to be used for future events on the avenue. The lift is
Well, what about,
remaining as city property to be used on Philadelphia Avenue.
what about the lift?
I just.
Yeah,
I
the senior
just
center.
explained that.
It can only be used on Philadelphia Avenue.
Technically, yes. It can only be
So-
in the district.
After the grant.
So that belongs to the
It
EDC as
can
well?
be given to the city of
Doesn't
Lake
belong to the
Harbor
city?
to be
That belongs to
used
you?
in the district. Now, after the grant is over, there's no one regulating and watching where you're using it. However, at any point in time, they can say those funds bought that lift, it needs to be in city property.
Can Chris, can you weigh in on this? I mean,
I'd
once
be
the
happy to take a look at
NPP
it.
is.
I'm not familiar enough with the
Okay.
issue, just hear the back and forth.
Yeah, once the grant is over.
Yeah,
Be happy to take.
because we asked about that when we bought the lift.
Well, it doesn't seem to be that difficult to figure out. There's 30 there that you say are designated for, and the city has given them to you. And you can use them and as Kim is saying, maybe there's other events that they might want to use a couple of them.
But we.
And they're being okay to
Karen's
do that.
saying We can't, because
No,
if,
she's saying
unless
there's
it's on,
some, yes.
unless it's on Philadelphia Avenue.
I'm saying keep it as city property. And.
But I'm talking about
DCA
now,
said- But at
like
any
now.
point in time, when DCA said, when you have the trash cans that are be used for events, yep, they're right here. They're not gonna come to Peace Pilgrim Day and say, oh, this is that can. But they're gonna say, where are my cans?
Well,
Why don't we
worried
sign
about
them out?
nouns, that's all.
Why can't we, can they have a sign out at Public Works, like who takes them out? All of that stuff, just like sign it in and out, whoever takes it,
So, yeah.
so you know.
Cans, they stay in public works.
Mhm.
That's why.
But again,
just
they
think if
they
they were
can be
used
used
for
at any, oh, I'm sorry.
I was just saying if they were used for a different event, you know, if they were used for a different event, sign them out. So that you know who had them in case they see walk away or something, you know?
So in the past, the director of public works was an MPP stakeholder. So he knew where the cans were at all times.
Okay.
So it really wasn't an issue.
My question
But
is,
we can
where's
make it-
our cans? That's my question. That's all we need to know. Where's our cans?
He said there's more on public works property that are just city, they're
Okay,
not.
so
MPP.
Jerry, you'll take care of that, but what kind of cans? Cause we had recycle and trash.
I think it's,
We should have had like,
I wanna say 4 and
Probably-
2. 4 trash.
we
2
should have had
recycle.
like even ones, so I don't know. I mean, we'll just have to order more, that's fine, but I just wanna know where our cans on, because
I'm sure Raymond and
cleanup
Tony
days
are one of the
coming
guys out
up,
there
you
knowing
know,
where they
Christmas
are.
is coming up.
Yeah, if Jerry's gonna check. we'll
Just
see.
have to get that straightened out. If we have to buy more cans, we have to buy more cans. It's not a problem. Just need to know.
That's not it. As far
Okay.
as differentiating, I don't have any.
I can also ask Steve, and the other thing we can do is get MPP EDC stickers. You know?
That might be a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But it,
Okay, thank you.
thank you,
Thanks,
Jessica.
Chris.
All right. Anybody else from the audience wish to be heard? Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
all right, so we need to finish.
All in favor?
Gotta take a picture. Yeah. We're gonna do